And lastly, there's a limited number of pit party passes available. That gets you early admission to meet the drivers, get pictures with the trucks. You're not going to get this opportunity at any other monster truck show.
Rob, where can people get more information?
Everything is at radraceway.com. Once again, that's radraceway.com.
Caesars is Alberta's anytime, anywhere sportsbook. Stay in the action with your favorite teams and players. Whether you're camping, kayaking, or catching a show this summer, bet wherever you are, whenever you want. Plus, Caesars Sportsbook offers fast payouts and flex parlays, a new way to keep your bet alive even if a pick misses. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app today.
Must be 18 or older and physically present in Alberta to gamble. Must be 21 or older to use Caesars Sportsbook. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. Please play responsibly.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Oiler Insider and Jersey Aficionado.
Second time in the red zone for the Elks. This time the gift to Rankin finds a crease, cuts back into the end zone. Touchdown, Edmonton. Justin Rankin finally breaks free.
60% talent, 40% Swedish hair cream.
Swing, drive, Oil hit right. Suzuki back. And it's gone. It is gone. It is gone. 3 homers for Baez. Major League history at Wrigley Field.
It's all gas, no brakes.
This whole play is he executed at a high level.
They need 3 scores here. This time the play fake looks inside. It's intercepted. J.J. Ross goes back the other way. Only Chad Kelly can prevent him from scoring. Ross has it, and he is going to score. Edmonton running away with this one.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we're here to stay.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton Sports Leader, Sports 1440.
Good morning. It is Thursday, August the 20th, and CFL week number 12 set to kick off tonight. The Edmonton Elks get ready for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tomorrow. Toronto Blue Jays defense, costly mistakes, put them back even with the Rays from Tampa, and the CPKC Women's Open underway from the Royal Mayfair in the Edmonton River Valley. Good morning to you and welcome into the Tom Gazzola Show here on Sports 1440, coming to you live from inside the Stingray Studios at West Edmonton Mall. Brandon Douglas, happy and glad to be sitting in for Tommy G this week. So he enjoys a little bit of time away. Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick, both alongside as well. However you are taking in the program this morning, we greatly appreciate it. Lots of options on that front, too. You can watch the show. It's streaming on our YouTube page, Sports 1440 AM. While you're over there, please do drop us a subscription if you like the video while you're there as well. That's a great help out to us. And then all of our social feeds, Facebook, X, Instagram, even over on Twitch, if that's your preferred destination. And then listening options, also a variety there too with the TuneIn app, iHeartRadio, Radio Player Canada, our own website, sports1440.ca, and of course, the old reliable AM radio dial for your listening pleasure as well. The show is brought to you by Bet365. Canada just hit the biggest home run of the summer. Bet365 is available in Alberta and here to stay. Download the app. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Yes, not a pretty night, not a pretty sight down at Tropicana Field yesterday with the Jays. A gritty effort, a gritty comeback effort, but unable to overcome a very costly bottom of the fourth inning in which Jesus Sanchez has himself a bit of a rough outing. First one, earlier in the game, you get a little bit of a leeway on with the potential interference from a catwalk or something up in the top of the dome. But the second one, just a matter of lack of concentration and a little bit of a spiral effect thereafter, going from potentially 2 outs and the bases loaded to just 1 out, a couple more runs already across the plate, and it continued to unwind from there on route to a rough outing on the stat sheet for Max Scherzer as he goes the 4 innings, giving up 7 earned runs on 5 hits. That was actually maybe the craziest part about it. There was no error charged to Sanchez on the second fly ball, the little blooper that landed, well, what should have been in front of him, but ended up behind him and then tailing off towards the field. A rough day on that front. And it was kind of ironic because it wasn't, not sure, maybe 10 minutes of real time earlier that on the broadcast on Sportsnet, they had brought up in August how the Jays had returned to being one of the very best defensive teams across the major leagues of baseball. We know how good their catchers are behind the plate, both as pitch framers and particularly Brandon Valenzuela with his arm since becoming a major leaguer this season. But everything from the infield outs above average, I believe, was second in the majors, and then outfielders outs above average was seventh. So they were looking much more like the 2025 club where defense was a staple of what made them successful. And that was the case until it wasn't. And particularly, like I said, not trying to pick on one guy, but like I said, a rough evening for Jesus Sanchez out in left field. Week number 12 in the CFL kicking off tonight between the first place Montreal Alouettes and the last place Ottawa Redblacks. That goes from the Bell Province at 5:30. 13.5 points, 2 touchdowns. The current spread you're looking at in this football game. Montreal 8-1, Ottawa still searching for that first win, 0-9. Anything can happen. There's a reason they play the games, but I have a hard time seeing them securing that first victory tonight against the Owls, and likely an 0-10 start on tap for Ryan Dinwiddie in his tenure as the Red Blacks head coach. And then finally, the CP Casey Women's Open from down at the Royal Mayfair in our very own beautiful River Valley. It's underway, teeing off 7 o'clock here. A number of names getting underway, including Celine Bior, Maria Judah Nuargan, Cumkin Park, and Anna Baylock, all underway at 7 o'clock with the shotgun start across a couple different tees. First Canadian in action this morning, going to be Leah John. She gets underway at 7:11. And for some of the bigger names in the field, defending champion Brooke Henderson, she's set to tee off at 1:21 alongside 3-time Canadian champion Lydia Ko, who, by the way, was the victor of this tournament the last time it was at the Royal Mayfair back in 2013. So that should be a very exciting pairing here on day number 1. Nelly Korda, current world number 1 on the LPGA. She is set to tee off at 8:17. So lots to get into over the course of this morning's show. Is the NFL preseason week 2 also set to kick off tonight with a couple of games that'll of course spill over into the remainder of the weekend, as will CFL week number 2, which after tonight's, I'm not going to call it a snoozer because it's the CFL. Even the most lopsided matchup can turn into a dynamite game. I have a hard time seeing it. As I said about forget the Red Blacks getting a win. I have a hard time seeing them keeping this competitive. The Alouettes do appear to be on another level compared to the rest of the CFL, at least at this point of the season. Edmonton and Saskatchewan have certainly been strong and are taking control of the West. But out east, man, it's Montreal and then everybody else. And that includes Ottawa sitting at 0-9. But the Elks will be at home tomorrow evening. Late kickoff, 7:30 local time, against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who frankly need this win. They're scuffling along inside that West Division. They're sitting at 5-4, and with a win can get themselves on par with Saskatchewan. Now, the Riders take on BC Saturday afternoon, evening out on the left coast, but the way BC's playing, they obviously want to claw themselves back to 500. We just saw Saskatchewan lose to Hamilton. It is really a toss-up around, like, it's so cliche, but really anybody can beat anybody on nearly a week-to-week basis. So if you're Winnipeg tomorrow night coming into Edmonton, this game means a lot. Also a little bit of revenge factor. Edmonton had came into your stadium earlier this season and defeated you. And that was kind of when we talked about it yesterday with Rod Peterson, when that was a real moment for the Elks defense to put their stamp on this team early going in the campaign. And now fast forward to week number 12, where they lead the league in turnovers. They lead the league in points off turnovers. It's and by a wide margin in the second of those categories, I should mention as well. So Brady Olivier for Winnipeg is questionable. Nick Dembski is questionable on the injury front. And if you're looking at the Edmonton Elks side of things, some interesting dynamics there as well, with a couple players questionable, more likely doubtful in the case of Kenny Logan Jr. At the DB linebacker spot. Ativa Maga Clemens is still out. Royce Mechie, full participant at practice a couple days this week, as has been Joe Robustelli. But both those players also still listed as doubtful. We will get a little bit more insight into that very shortly here as we dive into the Elks ahead of tomorrow night's matchup. 1-833-401-1440 is our text line. Would love to hear from you this morning. Get in on the conversation with us. A few things in particular I want to hear from our texters and our listeners today. You can also get in on the chat on YouTube if that's where you're watching at as well. We'll be sure to try and monitor that as the morning progresses. One of them is a spillover of yesterday's conversation, and it's a selfish one. Admittedly, I'm not too proud. I'm going to Toronto next week for a little holiday. I've never been. I want to know from our wide-spanning collection of listeners, what are some must-dos while in Toronto, particularly the downtown area? We're staying right by the Sky Dome by Rogers Centre, where we're going to be taking in some games, of course. We got a day down to Niagara Falls, but otherwise we got quite a bit of time to fill. I'm interested. I'm not good at planning stuff like that. I'm an overthinker to the nth degree, where I'll see something that's interesting, but I was like, what if it's not good? I'll read reviews. I'll do research. And where does that land you? Usually right back where you started, hemming and hawing. Some people say it's great. Other people say it's not so much. But I trust our listeners. So get in on our conversation, 1-833-401-1440. Also, you can weigh in your thoughts on some NFL preseason topics. As I mentioned, week number 2 of that's going to get underway. Vita Vea, shocker, money talks. He's going to be back with the Bucs, back at practice. For how long, I suppose? Is it just one more season? Did they find a way to move him now that the deal is signed? You know, I see him playing the full year in Tampa Bay, but we'll kind of monitor that as it progresses down in Tampa Bay. Your thoughts on the Elks' injury problems? Their depth has been a huge strength of theirs so far this campaign. It's a very much next man up mentality. We've seen it back in the secondary. We've seen it on the offensive line, and we've certainly seen it in the wide receiver group, where Robustelli kind of came in as a guy that was supposed to challenge for the number 2 receiver spot. He hasn't played yet, and instead we've just seen this slew of guys. TJ Luther, Brendan O'Leary-Orange, Josh Cephas, still obviously Keon Julian Grant making an impact on sporadic timing. They've all stepped up in the absence, and then of course Austin Mack as delivered on the WR1 factors. So once again, all your thoughts there. And if you're interested in winning some tickets for tomorrow night, you can do that on our text line too by texting ELKS, ELKS, to 1-833-401-1440. Automatically enters you. We've been giving them away all week. We'll continue to do so throughout today and tomorrow. 7-11 in Edmonton. First Canadian teeing off down at the Royal Mayfair, and we welcome in the man on the ones and twos, Donovan Paulson. Donnie P, good morning. How are you on this fine Thursday morning? A little brisker out there this morning, but still supposed to shape up to be a nice day. I think a chance of some showers maybe later into the evening. Donovan, does that impact your Thursday plans?
It does not impact my Thursday plans. My Thursday plans were mostly inside based anyways.
Shocker.
So I am going to be doing the exact same thing I planned on doing when we started the day anyways. So not a big deal. It's going to be a lot of inside the mall, and we'll go from there.
Donovan loves the mall. What'd you get? Anything particular last night for a Wednesday evening? Donovan, go for wings with the lads, a few cold pints, or did you just spend it in the mall?
That's more of the idea tonight.
Really?
Yeah. Gonna grab a couple of pints with the fellas.
Friday Junior.
Yeah, Friday Junior. That is the idea tonight. And we'll kind of go from there. But obviously, what I got up to last night was watching that debacle that happened with the Toronto Blue Jays and Jesus Sanchez. That was shocking. Well, actually, I shouldn't say shocking because he's such a horrible defender.
He's not a good fielder, and we know this.
Oh my God!
Which is to my next point, Donovan, where I want to go with you as a big baseball guy yourself. There were a few extenuating circumstances that formed the Jays lineup as it was, right? Ernie Clement was under the weather. It was an off day for someone else. Geez, I should have written this down in front of me. But either way, the way the lineup shook out as it did, there was a reason for it. It wasn't like necessarily planned that way. Would you not want, in a place like the Trop, your best and maybe most experienced fielders out there for that game? And I say that kind of a little, it's a little bit two-side, two-face, because I would still have Brett Bateman out there despite him being a major leaguer for all of a few weeks. But he's shown himself to be a very, plus defender. That was the card on him coming in when he was acquired in the Gausman deal, right? That's his biggest upside, is as a defender. So I feel comfortable with him out there. But Miles Straw, Nathan Lucas, why are we putting Jesus Sanchez in left field for this game?
Well, at the end of the day, you got to believe in your players to perform, right? Like the guy has to play the outfield at some points, right? Like that's what's going to happen, and you're going to have days in the schedule where it happens.
This isn't a spot where it's conducive to setting him up for success. We know it's a tough spot to play because of the roof, because of the tent that's over top of the trop. And then you have the catwalk factor in as well, which do you think that first one, the ground rule double, do you think that it hit something, or do you just think that he lost it?
I think he lost it.
Yeah.
I think that was very indicative of a guy who just straight up,
he
looked like he was tracking it. And then as soon as it got up to the roof level area, he just kind of lost it. That one, I'm less inclined to blame on him. I've seen it happen before. He won't be the first. He's not going to be the last.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the second one, that is one where it is a guy who is so passively playing the ball, and you can see if you watch his jump, he's actually quick. He reads the ball. You can tell based on his jump.
Yeah.
And then he kind of looks up, looks at Andres Jimenez and goes, nah, he's got it. There's not a lot of guys in baseball, especially not all-star level players, who you can watch and they kind of make these. This one wasn't a career decision, I'd call it, but this was one of those ones where, like, if you're not a great player, you can't afford to be that passive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to attack the ball. And he's always been a bad defender, but this has been the worst defensive season of his career. He's just, for such a bad, well, not a bad player, but for such an average player, you need to try harder. And you need to be more assertive. And that's just one of those ones where it's pathetic, frankly.
It's disappointing, to say the least. And if I'm being totally upfront, after that, he's due up to lead off the next inning. I would have pulled him from the game. Like, you've already made 2 mistakes in the field. To me, that tells me your head is not in the game that
just
day.
Doesn't care.
Like, it seems like you're pretty, as you said, passive about it. And as a result, like, he's leading off the next inning. And credit to the Jays, the way they rallied in the top of 5 to make it a baseball game again. All the power to them. Comes up just shy, unfortunately. But they still deserve some credit there. I would have pulled him. I would have swapped him out at that point for Miles Straw.
I would have too. When you make mistakes like that, that shows you're not checked in. You're not feeling the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're not feeling the importance of the game. And for a guy who, hey, you want to go back to like the Twins series where they on the Jays broadcast, they did not shy away from dogging on him. Like, they showed all his career decisions throughout the year, where I wouldn't even call them miscues. I'd call them career decisions, not choosing to lay out for a ball. And you try and it's down at your ankles and you just try and grab it like normally standing up. You just slightly bend over. And instead, that's a pretty easy catch if you just decide to jump. Like, if you jump at that, you catch that. There's one against the wall where he checks up against the wall because he doesn't want to run into it. How many times have we beloved these Jays outfielders because they are willing to crash into the wall and they don't care?
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You're on a 1-year deal, but you're not an all-star level player, man. You can't make that call.
Yeah. Well, we will continue to talk some Jays as they look to wrap things up, try and take the rubber match against the Rays this morning. 11:10 first pitch from the Trop between Toronto and Tampa Bay. We'll keep tabs on that as the morning progresses. But loaded show right after the break. Head coach of the Edmonton Elks, Mark Killam, very generous with his time during their week of preparation. He's going to hop on with us, give us an update on some injuries, some lineup decisions about who's able to come back in and who is not. And we'll tee up tomorrow night's game against the Bombers. 8 o'clock, Mark Spector will be by at 8:20. We'll talk NFL football with David Harrison from Locked On Commanders. Head down to Washington, D.C. to see if the Commanders and Jaden Daniels can bounce back this year. 9 o'clock, former NHLer Sean Bell will be in to co-host with us for 9-11. And then this is a really interesting guest. I'm excited to chat with Christian Veilleux, new U of A Golden Bears quarterback. This is a guy that played several seasons in Power 5 college football down in the NCAA, now suiting up in the green and gold at the U of A. We'll check in with Christian there. We'll go in or out at some point. Maybe working on another guest here for the 10 o'clock hour to talk a little hockey, but we'll check in with Cam Tate with Cam and Eggs before the morning is out as well. All that, lots more in between still to come on the show, but head coach Mark Killam of the Edmonton Elks with us right after the break. You're on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in, Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson alongside. The show brought to you by Bet365.
The Chicken Parmy Burger, McExtreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them, you've screenshotted them, you've never been able to order them until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
What's 426 divided by 12? Okay, if I carry the one, yeah, we're out. Go Auto has a free credit calculator that does the math for you. See what you could qualify for, estimate your payments, and get a better idea of what's in your budget. Because shopping for a vehicle is exciting, but crunching numbers, yeah, not so much. Text check to 780-777-7777. That's check to 780 all sevens.
Come for Canada's largest trade shows, the biggest names in entertainment, exhilarating sporting events, and more. And stay for the experience at the Edmonton Expo Centre. Looking for the perfect place to host your next big event? From trade shows to galas, meetings, and concerts, the Edmonton Expo Centre has the space, event expertise, and service to make your next event unforgettable. With over 522,000 square feet of flexible event space, in-house catering, and operational expertise, they bring your biggest vision to life. Learn more at edmontonexpocentre.com today.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440, 722 in Edmonton, and very excited to welcome back head coach of the Edmonton Elks football team, Mark Killam, to the program. Mark, Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tommy G this morning. Appreciate your time, as always, for hopping on. How's your week of preparation going thus far for tomorrow night against the Bombers in town?
Oh, it's been good. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a short week for us.
Mm-hmm.
So we were on the field really for only one real practice. That was yesterday. The day before that was more walkthrough, some more mental focused. And then today we got another walkthrough, and then it's go time tomorrow night.
It's amazing how quickly it can get upon you. So on the injury front is where I want to start with you, Coach. And a couple guys still looking like they're most likely not going to be available despite getting in some good activity this week in the forms of Royce Mechie, Joel Robustelli, Kenny Logan Jr. amongst them. But can you provide an update on some guys that maybe are going to be able to draw back in that weren't available last week against the Argos?
You know what? We're looking very similar, actually. Our depth chart's going to come out. We're looking very similar. A couple guys are close. Just with the bye coming up, we know we can get a whole bunch of reinforcements after that. So, yeah.
All righty. So we'll wait patiently for the official depth chart then. But in the meantime, on the injury front, it's kind of been a season-long battle for you guys on that front, and at different position groups too. But your depth has really stepped up in some major ways. Can you speak to that a little bit? Everywhere from the offensive line to back in your secondary, up front on defense as well. The importance of having a variety of players that can not only step up, but maybe play out of position at times a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's going to have injuries. They're part of playing professional football. It's really, you have to ride the ebbs and flows, and that's where you lean on your depths. I mean, we lost a linebacker every game for the first 4 games. Obviously, our center guard on our O-line, those guys went down at different times, so we had to have different guys step in there. D tackle is another position that we've been hit a little bit with, but we feel really good about the talent that's on this roster. We felt good about it coming out of training camp, and when we make the team out of training camp, and you've got your active roster guys, your practice roster guys, your all these designations. It's really just one football team, and we tell them that, and we say, everyone in here is going to contribute, and you just got to be ready for your opportunity, and that's what they've done so far.
Talking with the Edmonton Elks head coach Mark Killam here on the Tom Gazzola Show. So a spot where you haven't faced as much injuries, but your depth has been also apparent and evident is at the wide receiver spot. And you guys bring in a guy like Austin Mack this past offseason to kind of take over that de facto number 1 role. And to my eyes anyway, he's really come as advertised in that regard. But following him on the depth chart, there were certainly some questions coming in this season. Now, at this point of the year, going into week number 12, when you talk about guys like TJ Luther, Josh Cephas, Brendan O'Leary, Orange, Keon Julian Grant, and others, of course, have all taken spells as well. What can you say about what your wide receiver room has been able to accomplish when it's been a really by committee approach and given a lot of options for your quarterback?
I know. Well, first of all, that's a good thing.
Yeah, 100%.
The more playmakers we have, and the more options that we have, puts more stress on the defense, and obviously makes the quarterback feel a lot better about it. But it was interesting. Coming out of training camp, Joe Robustelli was a guy that everyone had kind of penciled in, but he's had some injury issues, and sometimes when that happens, other people step up, and you mentioned Josh Cephas and TJ Luther, and those guys have just gotten better every single week, gotten more opportunities every single week, got more on their plate every single week, and just kind of met the challenge head on. So I mean, to have 2 really first year guys be solid contributors on your offense, I mean, that's a good thing.
And as the season progresses, where you get a little bit more familiar with some of these players and build more trust in them as a coaching staff between you and Jordan Maximing, does that open more things up in your playbook and have you more confident in calling certain plays offensively as that trust continues to build?
No doubt. There's no doubt it does. And it's not even just trust with the coaching staff, it's trust with the quarterback. I mean, when Cody drops back and those guys are where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, and he can let it rip. I mean, that's important, because if you're not there, then he's looking somewhere else, and then you start to you don't get as many targets and all those kind of things. But obviously, from a quarterback perspective, it's important to have that confidence, and then the coach's perspective, you give them a little bit more responsibility. You start to scheme up some things once you really figure out their strengths and what they're good at as well. And then that kind of grows from there. That's the process.
Yeah. Mark Killam, Edmonton Elks head coach, with us here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tommy G this week. So the Bombers coming in tomorrow night. This is a team you guys faced quite a bit earlier in the season, and it's a different looking club. How they are rolling things out and how they're performing in particular than last time you played them. In your guys' scouting and preparation for this, what sort of predominant challenges do you see that the Bombers presenting you guys tomorrow night at Commonwealth?
I mean, a ton of challenges. I think you're right. I do think they're better than they were in week 3. They're a veteran football team though, and they've done a lot of winning over the years. They understand what that looks like. They understand, how to win games. But they're built tough. They got a big O-line. They want to pound the rock with Brady and then open things up for Zach. Defensively, they do what they do. They're a little bit unique in the schemes that they run, but they do it well. And that's kind of their MO. And, they got they have got a great defensive front that makes everything better on the back end. and they've really kind of figured out the nuance of what they're doing. I think that's the biggest difference of how they've improved from week 3 or whenever that was. But they're a good football team. It's a divisional matchup. It's going to be two heavyweights slugging it out. It's supposed to be a beautiful night. I'm really looking forward to it.
And so you talk about their defensive scheme and how they can be unique sometimes and how they approach it. Earlier in the season, we know Justin Rankin got off to such a blazing start, both in the run game and as a pass catcher too. And we saw him get back to that pretty aggressively last week, but with some downer weeks in terms of yardages and totals on the in-between. Is there, and I know you're probably tired of answering this at this point of the season, but is there a concerted effort to say, all right, this is a team that he had success against previously. We want to get back to really having the ball in his hands more, or is it still kind of status quo? We know how many touches we want him to get, and it doesn't really matter necessarily the opponent on the other side.
Well, I think first and foremost, we want to be a balanced offense as much as we can be. I mean, and running the ball is part of that. Getting the ball in Justin Rankin's hands in different ways is part of that. But, teams adjust. I mean, we were going off early. Teams adjusted, so we had to adjust. And then, we already talked about the receivers stepping up, but that was a process, and they had to go through that. But now I feel like we have, a lot more answers, a lot more weapons on our offense. And, we can win games offensively in multiple ways. And that's what you really need down the stretch.
And so winning games in multiple ways, both offensively, and we've seen this team win games defensively this year too as well, Coach. And I was chatting with Rod Peterson yesterday morning on the show about that. To his eyes from the outside looking in here on this Elks Club, it was that win over Winnipeg where your guys' defense really made a statement in his eyes, and I think a lot of others feel the same way. So is that any sort of, when you're talking with your defensive group over the course of this week of preparation, another thing where is there any looking back apart from actual game film, the technical part where you say, hey, we had success against this group before and we're even better now because of A, guys back from injury or whatever the case? How does that approach go when you're trying to balance living in the moment and winning 1 week at a time while still taking into account what you've already accomplished this year?
Yeah, I mean, we really don't, we're not like looking back at all of, every week is its own challenge, you know what I mean? And that's really, you can say it's cliche, but we literally try to go 1-0 every week. And what's the challenge in front of our face? Like this week, we're coming off a week ago, we had to respond after a tough loss. We did. And then we're on a short week playing a divisional matchup. You know what I mean? Going into a bye, there's challenges with that. But I mean, defensively, I think they've been a strength of our football team really for the majority of the year. I think they play a really, really fun style of football to watch. It's a violent, physical style of football, and they fly around. And, I mean, if you were a player on that defense, you'd love to play on that defense because it's just you can change the game. But, you look at what you did the last time you played, and, they're looking at that too, and they're trying to counteract that. And that's the part of the chess match of professional football. And then when you get into the game, you have to adjust again. So, I mean, that's kind of the cat and mouse version of it. But, definitely you take confidence from, your past successes, and you just try to bring that forward into every game.
And just to kind of pony off one of the comments you made there about how your defense takes a lot of pride in being, the most physical group on the field and making it tough to play against and being a punishing group. Were you pretty satisfied with the response from your defense last week and getting back to that level of football compared to maybe in particular the loss previous to Montreal?
100%. I mean, really, I was really pleased with the entire football team.
A real three-phase win for you guys, no doubt.
All three phases, contributed. And, to me, that's a sign of a good football team that you can respond when you're supposed to respond. And, I was proud of the guys for doing that. And then that challenge was over. And then we moved on to the next mission, and that's Winnipeg this week.
You betcha. And looking to go 1-0 this week as we're talking with the Edmonton Elks head coach, Mark Killam, here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Last one for you, Coach. With the bye week coming up, you're focused on going 1-0 this week. But as a coach and as a coaching staff, is there any tricky balance of managing that, you guys have had a real slog of games with the early bye in this season now. You've been running on, 11 games straight, I think, or something close to it.
10 straight.
10 straight, right? So how do you really keep the guys in the moment and not trying to look a little bit too ahead where you say, all right, let's just get over this hump that we know we have to play the game, but then we do have that bye week that I'm sure the whole group has really been longing for after this 10-week stretch.
No doubt. They've certainly earned it. But, we addressed it early. We leaned on the leadership. We said we tried to create a sense of urgency right away and said, hey, we're keeping the pedal down coming out of last week into this week. Being on a short week probably helped that, actually, truthfully. So we could just get right back into preparing for another opponent. But I trust the leadership in the room. I trust the players on the football team. If I felt like, we were looking past it and looking past to the bye, I would have made a point about it, but I did not feel that this week at all. And, I think that speaks to the leadership on the football team.
Excellent. Well, Coach, always very appreciative of your time, stepping aside from your prep to take a little bit of time with us. Good luck tomorrow night against the Bombers. As you said, shaping up to be a beautiful night. Hopefully another full house down at Commonwealth to cheer you guys on against the Bombers. Best of luck, and enjoy the bye week as well if we don't chat with you before then.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Head coach Mark Killam of the Edmonton Elks, and business as usual for the green and gold. They're, as he said, in his impression of his team, no worries about maybe looking ahead a little bit too much. And it's so easy to say, I think, Donovan, when you say like, well, they're pro athletes, just play the game, play it as you normally would, and then enjoy it. But that's not how human nature works, right? Forget if you're a pro athlete. The human nature in you just has that instinct and obligation, and to a certain extent, be like, all right, what's around the corner, right? And in the case of this, where you've played 10 straight weeks, football is such a physical sport. And the way this Elks team plays in particular most this year, exceptionally physical. 10 weeks straight, man, I'm a little curious. Not skeptical, but curious. I'd take Coach Killam at his word that he's not worried about that for his team, but you have to think that is at least part of the discussion going into this game tomorrow night.
I mean, it happens in every sport, right? It's human nature to say, okay, what's next? Okay, like especially when you're an athlete, right? You have a designated schedule, you have a designated amount of weeks, and you want to start to look forward to what's your next one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's how it works. There's a lot of coaches who I think just say coach speak, and I don't put any thought into what they're actually saying because I think it's almost all BS. Coach Killam is the rare exception for me.
He's a straight shooter,
He
man.
is as straight a shooter as you're ever going to find as a head coach. So every time he speaks, I listen because I truly believe what's coming out of his mouth. Now, obviously, there's some exaggerations and there's going to be some, coach-friendly stuff and backing his team in certain situations. But I really do believe, like, that's a guy who, if my name was Eddie Steele and I played for Coach Killam, I would be fired up to play for that guy. I have all the respect in the world for how he conducts himself.
And isn't that kind of funny, right? You say it, and we've heard Eddie say it too. Like that is the type of guy that you want to play for. You're willing to lay it out there for. And then you hear Killam talking about his own team, talking about his defense. Like, this is a defense anybody would love to play for. and maybe that just speaks to the kind of harmonious nature that this team's currently enjoying, right? Where you come off a couple tough losses to really good teams, you bounce back with a statement victory. Everything seems pretty kumbaya right now inside this Elks locker room, and the results are showing it. Now, Toronto's not a great team. I think they're a solid team, so you have to take that with a grain of salt. I do believe that this week against the Bombers does prove a tougher test with all factors rolled in, the short week, the bye week looming right afterwards, and the fact that the Bombers are clinging to life, right? Like, where are they going to finish inside this West Division? Can you grab a spot, crossover team, all those factors. So I do believe this is going to be a tougher test for them, but I definitely think they're up to it. I do. I firmly do.
I mean, they've done everything you could ask of them and more already this season.
Yeah. I don't, I'm not sure there's a ton of reasons to doubt what the Elks are doing. Right in the early going, there were some question marks still. Are they merchants of their early schedule and taking advantage of some favorable spots in that regard, beating the Red Blacks a couple times, the sloppy conditions that helped them or didn't allow to play the truest form of the sport in a couple games. Sure. But we're in week 12, man. Like, they've proven it. They've laid it out there. They're 7-3. I think they would be feeling very good as a group and hopefully can roll that over into tomorrow night against Winnipeg and then enjoy the bye before the always much anticipated home and home Labor Day and rematch game against the Stampeders, who, man, what the hell is that team? Maybe that conversation for another day. We'll step aside. When we return, we'll check into the text line, 1-833-414-1440. A couple recommendations for me for my trip to Toronto next week. We'll touch on that. Some opinions on the Blue Jays debacle and Jesus Sanchez's fielding out in left last night against the Rays, in which Tampa wins it 7-6. And we'll also dip in maybe a little NFL preseason talk here before we get to the top of the hour with Mark Spector. It's the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas sitting in, Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson alongside. Watch it. We're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Twitch, and it's brought to you by Bet365.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection.
And don't forget about our employee pricing.
Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
1 in 3 Canadians aren't getting enough sleep. Let the Brick help you sleep better for less. Save 40% on the Sealy Crown Jewel Resort mattress. Get cheap starting at just $49. And buy one pillow, get the second one for just $10. Plus, take up to 55 months to pay with no interest and no money down. And with next day delivery in Edmonton, you can start sleeping better right away. Some conditions apply. OAC. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, winning isn't everything. Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
You're in charge of ordering boxes. Small boxes, really big boxes. You're in charge of tape, labels, mailers, bubble wrap, extra bubble wrap, just for fun. You're in charge of warehouse cleaning and safety supplies. Good thing there's Uline. Thousands of quality products for your business and warehouse needs, always in stock, ready to ship same day, and backed by Uline's legendary 24/7 customer service. Uline makes it easy because you already do enough. Uline, we warehouse for you.
The Lawnmower Hospital. If you've got a lot of grass to cut, or just a little, the Lawnmower Hospital and Toro make it a breeze. Handle your yard with an easy maneuvering, personal pace Toro walk-behind mower. For commercial and acreage use, hop on a Toro My Ride Zero Turn with the comfort and performance you deserve. Plus, 0% financing available for up to 36 months. See Toro, the top name in turf, now at lawnmowerhosp.com. The Lawnmower Hospital.
Caesars is Alberta's anytime, anywhere sportsbook. Stay in the action with your favorite teams and players. Whether you're camping, kayaking, or catching a show this summer, bet wherever you are, whenever you want. Plus, Caesars Sportsbook offers fast payouts and flex parlays, a new way to keep your bet alive even if a pick misses. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app today.
Must be 18 or older and physically present in Alberta to gamble. Must be 21 or older to use Caesars Sportsbook. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. Please play.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
7:44. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brennan Douglas in for Tommy G once again. The penultimate day in the big chair. Next to last, as Tom will make his triumphant return. I'm taking my bye week alongside the Green and Gold Football Club. Heads up play by me. Tom, not so much. And if you were curious, be like, oh, I've been missing Tom all week. I can't wait to see him on the broadcast tomorrow night. I don't believe that will be the case. I believe it will be Britt Dort for the TSN crew, down at Commonwealth as Tom continues his humanitarian work with the Gretzky hockey school down in Calgary this week. I'm sure he's having a great time. I hope he's having a great time. And he will be back Monday morning, 7 a.m. to recap a full weekend of sports, including the Elks and Bombers tomorrow night. Once again, if you want to win tickets, just text us. 1-833-414-40. You text Elks, ELKS, to that number. You're automatically entered. It's a freebie. You're entered. We're giving away tickets all day today, all day tomorrow, leading up to the 7:30 kickoff. And fellas, cold question right off the cuff. What will the attendance be for tomorrow night's contest? Donovan, you can lead.
I'm going to run with, I'll say we see a little minor spike. I'll say 24.
Okay. Josh?
25,583 will be the reported attendance from CFL attendance.
Very specific. I like it. I'm going to go more the Donovan route and be a little more generic. I think it will be even. I think we'll see about 22,000 people there. The later kickoff, I really think it deters people. I do. 7:30? It's a beautiful night. That won't be a factor, at least not in the current forecast. But man, if you're talking about trying to take the kids or something, that's not happening. It's too late. And it's local time. So I'm not saying you're trying to kick off at 5:00 on a Friday. That's not what I'm saying. This isn't a avoidable step by the CFL in their scheduling. It's just a reality. And if what the conversation always goes back to, what are you doing on your weekends in the summer? Trying to get out of town, go to the lake, go to the cabin, go golfing somewhere, go a little mini weekend golf trip, whatever the case. Those for late Friday night times, they're not really conducive to it. The higher attendance numbers. Just from the outside looking at them, I hope to be proven wrong. It'd be awesome to see 25,000 plus down at Commonwealth, but I think we'll see something pretty steady to what we saw against the Argos last weekend. The text sign, 1-833-401-1440. Donovan, you and our buddy, the King of Fort Nasty, having some disagreements about the Jesus Sanchez play in left field. King of Fort Nasty said, I love Jimenez. He's defensive all-star, but he can take some blame for that Sanchez drop. Takes two to communicate. He followed it up with a Mad Max had some good communication after that drop too. Probably sounded like Laddie Smeed after stubbing a toe. Yeah. Great camera shot of Scherzer. How frustrating would that be?
Oh,
you're in a jam. You're battling your tail off, and it's a routine fly to give you 2 outs, and you're still holding it at a 2-1 baseball game. Wrong. Drop, and forget the drops past you in the process too. So a couple score there, and the inning continues, and they end up putting up 5 in the end. They scored all 5 that inning. Yeah, You're right. Tough scene. But as we said, the offense, as much as it has been the Achilles heel, really, of this team this year, where it just cannot get anything going, man, 2 nights in a row against a couple pretty good pitchers, the offense has some success. Just not enough, unfortunately, and they couldn't overcome, in reality, that mistake. Now, yes, Scherzer put them in that spot where he didn't have his best stuff, whatever that looks like at this stage of his career, but he was fighting, he was battling. He gave him a chance. You generate what you want in that spot, a shallow fly ball that in all likelihood holds the runner at third base, even on the tag. So it was certainly frustrating. But then you and King of Fort Nasty kind of back and forth a little. You don't think it's on Jimenez at all. He thinks there should be at least a little bit of blame there, a little better communication. And it kind of ended with, I don't know, we often see these guys all converging on a ball. Sometimes they're fighting over the catch. I disagree that communication is not required on the play.
The thing is, though, like, it's one thing, like, when it's a fly ball in the outfield and you've got it right between the center fielder and, let's say, the left fielder in this case. I understand, like, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, those are ones where you want the communication because, you know, sometimes you can see the collision and then, you know, bleep happens from there. But on this one, there's only one player with a chance to get to the ball. Jimenez has no chance to get to the ball. He's just there purely for support in case it's a little shallower than originally anticipated. That's the only reason he's there. And to back up Jesus Sanchez, he's no chance at catching the ball. That is a play that every outfielder in baseball needs to charge towards. You need to be assertive and you need to go make the play. That is 99 times out of 100. That is a routine non-communication needing play because 99 times out of 100, every other outfielder in the league charges the ball and makes the right play. It's like, would you be saying the same thing? Like, if you saw a ground ball to shortstop to Jimenez and it's a slow grounder and he doesn't charge the ball and basically goes halfway and then just stands there, that's basically the equivalent of what Jesus Sanchez did.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you need to make the play. You can't just let the other guy make it for you. You know?
I agree. There's so much discussion around, you know, who has to take charge, right? Your shortstop's your captain on the infield, your center fielder, and there's always deference. You're supposed to be, but when I watch that play, I don't see Jimenez. Like, I see him tracking it and then, you know, pulling back
he pulls back
pretty
yes.
obviously.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and we can't hear it, right? We don't. They're not mic'd up players. We don't know exactly what they're saying. Could there have been better communication? I'd say there's a high chance. But I have to think on Jimenez's track record as a defender and as a veteran player that he was probably taking the right steps, both in a literal and verbal sense on that play. And like I said, I just think Sanchez just took his eye off the ball. I've never been to the Trop, but everything we hear from it against that white tent roof, it is hard to pick up. So you take your eye off of it, tough to get again.
If that was like one of those weird bloopers where it's like a
diving, like it's like on a nosedive, like
yeah.
topspin on it so bad or something, but like it's a routine fly.
That's one where I want the communication, absolutely, and it just happens to find a way to drop in between them. That one I want communication on because if you remember back to that Seattle Mariners playoff loss for the Jays where George Springer and Bo Bichette collide, that was the much harder version of what we saw last night, right? Where it is more of a looper and it just happens to find a way to fall in. But that one, like, one of them was going to make the play on that play. They just didn't communicate. This one was Jimenez has no chance to catch that ball. He doesn't need to communicate on that play. Jesus Sanchez just needs to go and attack the baseball. That's just outfielder 101.
Some exciting news for Oilers fans, particularly those who reside in Leon Draisaitl's home nation, as the NHL announced in the wee hours of this morning, and appreciate Tim on the text line dropping this in to remind me because it had kind of skirted on my periphery. The NHL Global Series 2027 will feature the Bruins and the Oilers. So that is for the 27-28 season. Not this upcoming one, where the Oilers will play 2 games in Leon Draisaitl's home city of Cologne at the Lanxess Arena. Probably not pronouncing that right, but that's okay. And then the Bruins, with newly acquired this past offseason, JJ Peterka, will play 2 games in his home city of Munich at the SAP Garden. Pretty great. When was the last time the Oilers played overseas? Do we recall? They'd played in Germany previously, have they not?
Yes, they have as a preseason game. That would have been, was that the season after the playoffs?
It's a good question.
And was that 2018? Because and then they did Sweden too, right?
Yes.
I think they were both. because the German game was, I think, preseason, and then the Sweden game was legit. And was that against the Devils? Because that was Milan Lucic era Oilers. I want to say that was 2018.
I'm just scrolling down a list of games played by the NHL in Europe, and there's been a lot. Going back a long time, actually, if you can actually believe it. But it's a great get and pretty cool. Here's another question I'll put out to the texters, and I'll ask it to you too, Donovan. Is this something you would schedule a trip around? To go to Europe, see Germany, cultural, historical significance, the beer, the food. You can make yourself a pretty fine holiday in Germany. Would you do that to coordinate around going to some Oilers games while they're there? As a fan, people do it when they go to Vegas. People do it when they go to Nashville. Would you do it for a cross-Atlantic trip to see the Oilers play in Germany? 1-833-414-1440. Would love to hear thoughts on that. If it would be worth it to make that type of trek and take in a game. I'm seeing it was in fact 2018, Donovan, when the Oilers took on a German team in the preseason matchup, and then the Devils in Sweden from Gothenburg.
Bang.
For a regular season game. Very, very well done, Donovan. You're sharp as a whip this morning. A whip.
Thank you.
Mark Spector will be with us at the top of the hour at 8:20. We'll talk Washington Commanders with David Harrison from Locked On Commanders. And before all of that, let's get to a Sports 1440 update. It's brought to you by Sean Cunningham of RE/MAX Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for your next move in the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly. 780-265-0165. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
MLB action from yesterday. The Jays fell 7-6 after a disastrous misplay from Jesus Sanchez. The Pirates walked off the Tigers with a homer from Brandon Lau. The Mets doubled up on the Padres. The White Sox blanked the Cubbies 3-0. The D-backs snuck past the Bo Sox in extras. The Yankees topped the Orioles 7. The Nationals blanked the Rangers 6-0. The Guardians fell to the Giants 1-0. Vita Vea, in some NFL news, is staying put in Tampa Bay on a 1-year, $30 million extension. And the breaking news from about 20 minutes ago, the Oilers are set to play some NHL games in Germany in the 27-28 season. Coming up right after the break, it is Sportsnet's Mark Spector. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
It's time to hit the green. Elevate your golf game with Country Club Tour Golf Academy. No matter your experience, our PGA of Canada teaching pros are here to help. Enjoy lessons year-round between our 7 CCT golf courses and 2 state-of-the-art indoor facilities. Choose the location convenient for you. We offer private lessons, group lessons, expert club fittings, and junior camps. Visit our website to learn more and get ready to take your game to the next level. Booking is easy. Go to countryclubtour.com/golf academy and schedule your lesson today.
Guys, there never seems to be enough time in the day, but you need to make time for this. Ken Franchek here. If you're 40 or over, a quick PSA blood test is crucial for early prostate cancer detection. The Prostate Cancer Center's Man Van is a mobile health clinic driving change for men's health. A few minutes could save your life. To get the Man Van out to your business or event, book today at getcheck.ca.
Wondering what you can afford? Let Go Auto do the math with our free car loan calculator. No pressure, no awkward convos, just quick answers on your budget and payments. Bad credit? No credit? We got you. Text CHECK to 780-777-7777. That's CHECK to 780 all sevens. Find out what you qualify for and start shopping with confidence. Go Auto. Drive what you love with payments that make sense.
Lux Windows was founded in 1969 with 5 people and a dream. 55 years later, our team of experts cares a whole lot about building and installing the best possible windows and doors. Because Lux is not just an Alberta-made product. We're one big Alberta-made family. Everything we are is windows and doors. A company born and bred and made in Alberta.
First pitches, kickoffs, tip-offs. When the game is on, you call the shots. Whether it's a parlay after working all day or a straight bet and straight to bed, Betway has what it takes for you to bet the Edmonton way. So when it's your turn to play the Edmonton way with Betway. Play responsibly. Alberta only. 18+.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show
on Edmonton's sports leader,
Sports 1440.
presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Eight o'clock in Edmonton. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tom. Couple more days here in the big chair. Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick alongside in studio as well. The show brought to you by Bet365, and it is time for On the Mark, which is powered by Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Mike and his team at Northgate care about the community and for the rest of August. Proceeds from every vehicle sold will go towards the Summerland wildfire victims. Only at NorthgateGM.com. We welcome in Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Spec, good morning. How is the beginning of your Thursday treating you? I don't have your feed in front of me. Are you out on the deck today, or is it a little chilly this morning for that?
No, I'm sitting in the office here. It's a little chilly, but it's very dewy and wet. You wouldn't put your computer down out there, but I'm kind of I'm still trying to figure out these highlights I'm watching out of left field in Tampa last night.
Yeah.
I forget his contact lenses, or what happened there?
Well, that's kind of been one of mine and Donovan's main talking points this morning is he doesn't have a track record as a great fielder, which to me, if I'm building my lineup, and there were some extenuating circumstances, a couple guys were sick, rest days and things like that, would you not want in Tampa, where we know it's a tough spot to play because of that tent white roof, your best fielders out there? And it ended up costing the Jays last night. Full stop. There's really no ways around it. And the craziest thing, Spec, not charged an error on the play.
Yeah, that's an official scorer thing. Which which player are you talking about? The one that he dropped near the wall, or the one that he stopped running and looked like he had in shallow left?
Mm-hmm. Well, he wasn't charged an error on either. And to mine and Donovan's consensus was there's a little more leeway for the one out at the wall because of potential interference. We know the catwalk's up there, and maybe it's over it, through it, stuff like that. Maybe even it did hit something. It's not great, but you give a little bit more leeway on it. The one in shallow left field, I mean, for goodness sakes, like you said, did he not put his glasses on or his contacts in or something? Because that's a pretty inexcusable mistake, especially at this time of the season for a team where every win is so important. And the offense scuffles their way back into the game, but it was just a little too much to overcome.
Yeah, listen, he just looks like, as a guy that spent a lifetime in baseball, not seeing the ball as well as everybody else. I got bad eyes. Being a pitcher, it worked for me. I could pitch, and every once in a while, some coach would throw in the outfield, and you go, I don't know, man. That Sanchez looked very much like a player that you just couldn't see the ball well. You could just tell he was hoping and hoping and hoping, and it wasn't working out his way. So it's weird. We get so accustomed to major league ball players making every play. They talk about the routine ground ball and the routine fly ball, and I always say, you go stand out at shortstop and take 10 of those quote unquote routine short ground balls, and let's see how many you catch. Like, they make them look routine.
Exactly.
But when a guy drops a couple, when a guy is obviously having issues out there, it really stands out as, holy cow, I haven't seen a guy drop a ball like that in forever. So,
Yeah.
I didn't love Scherzer's, act on the mound. Like sometimes there's errors behind you. Suck it up, princess.
Yeah, you would think at this point in his career he's seen his fair share of them, but I mean, like, it's frustrating. There's no doubt, and we know he's an emotional guy. He kind of wears them on his sleeve. But you have to think that if you're Sanchez in that point, you're probably not playing with much confidence after those plays to begin with, and then you see your pitcher, throw his little miniature tantrum, and you're probably in negative confidence levels at that point. Oh, and by the way, he's batting leadoff to start the next inning.
Yeah, and the way Scherzer's pitched for most of this season, I never saw 8 guys stomping their feet and crying like a baby behind him when he was garbage for a half of his starts between the start of the season and now. So, you know what, buddy, suck it up. Like, I thought that was immature. It was poor leadership. It looked like a guy who knows he doesn't have anything left and he can't afford to give up an out because he can barely get the outs he needs. He looked like a young, inexperienced, immature pitcher in that state. I'm a lot more concerned about the way the guy in left field you can replace, you can fix. Scherzer's attitude on the mound towards his teammates, that's who he is. I don't like it one bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that drops Scherzer's record on the year. He's 1-6, a 7.4 ERA. So, and yeah,
that's Scherzer. Those are Scherzer's numbers?
Yeah.
He's 1-6 and he's stomping around when someone else makes a mistake. How you like that, eh?
Yeah, it's frustrating, and the Jays will try and take the rubber match with the morning game, Mountain Time, 11:10 first. But Shane Bieber, who has been much better in his last number of times out, hopefully the Jays can secure that very important victory because they got a little bit of help yesterday around the rest of the out-of-town scoreboard. They remain still just one game back, and one team in front of them, and then obviously the one team in the wild card spot itself. So a few teams dropped it in behind them in the overall standings as we chat with Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet. Now, Spec, on the hockey front, some overnight news, the wee hours of the morning, the Edmonton Oilers are going to play a couple games in Germany next season for part of the league's global series. Pretty cool. Obviously, Leon Draisaitl from there. The couple games are scheduled in his hometown of Cologne. The Boston Bruins are going to play a couple games in Munich where JJ Peterka is from. What do you make of this? Did you have any buzz on this coming down the wire, or did it take you by surprise?
No, I heard a year ago that this was being worked on, and I thought that at that point it would have been for like this November or October. Right. So I can't say that, I looked into it then, and I didn't get a lot of, I didn't get enough to really go with. I couldn't really nail down the story, but I knew that there was smoke, and that's something they were looking at. I'm frankly a little surprised it's taken them this long to get the Oilers into one of these global series games this way. Like, the best European player in the world plays for Edmonton.
Yep.
Obviously the best German player, but they got Connor McDavid. The Oilers logo is internationally known in the hockey world. I am a little surprised it's taken this long. I know they went to Germany back in whatever it was, 17, 18.
2018, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's awesome. I mean, getting Draisaitl going back to Cologne, it's going to be if I'm Leon Draisaitl, I'm in for 72 hours of absolute mayhem. Like every single. It's not like there's another guy on the team that speaks German. I guess Szymanski's there. I guess he can take a little of a load with the local media, but it's going to be all Leon Draisaitl all the time in Cologne. It'll be fun. Throw a little spice into the season, right, Brandon? Like, let's. Usually they play those games in October, November, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, usually they open the season, and in a matter of fact, in the past couple times, they've actually played them before the regular season opens. Like, there's still some other preseason games on our side of the pond, and then the regular season gets underway shortly thereafter. So it's kind of been weird scheduling-wise for some of these European games.
Yeah, there's still, I don't know if the debate has closed on the best way to handle it. I remember going over once with Anaheim and LA to London.
The O2 Arena.
Yeah, O2 Arena. I covered those games, and there was a debate then about and I think the Oilers did this in 18. Do you go there, play a couple games, and then play your way back out west? Fly back to New York, play a couple games, play a game in Chicago, and then come home? or do you just come all the way home and get a couple days off and start playing hockey back in your time zone? In the past, these the time zone change and the jet lag and the the weirdness of taking your whole operation 8 time zones away has been a bit of an issue for NHL teams, and it's been caused some hiccups in some seasons. So I'll be interested to see. They got all the science now. Like, we've done this long enough that everybody knows what's the best way to do it. So I'll be interested to see how the schedule comes out a year from now, and see if the Oilers, which sort of tack the Oilers end up taking, right?
And it's funny you bring that up, Spec, because we know the NFL is constantly expanding and they play more and more international games every year. This year they open the season in Australia, right? And the two teams are taking about as polar opposite approaches as you can. So the Niners are going out with a standard like week plus in advance, trying to acclimate, get all used to it. The Rams are doing it like in a single turnaround. Like, they are landing, playing in Australia essentially, and then turn around and coming back. Like, they don't want the acclimation. Like, they're going to be there more than obviously just the one day, but they're not trying to change their body clocks, because the time the game's actually played, it's in the middle of the day in Australia. It's the regular-ish time for a game if it were being played over on the West Coast.
Okay.
For the most part. So two completely different tactics where, as you said, we've been doing this long enough in a variety of sports games in Japan, in Europe, across the world, and there's still no consensus on which is the actual right approach to take.
Yeah, that would be the battle of the sleep doctors, right?
Right.
Which guy's smarter, which guy graduated later. I mean, and it's a different deal when you're going to Australia. Like, I'm guessing Germany from Edmonton, if it's not 7 hours, it's probably 8 hours. It's one of the
time
two.
zone difference. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and hockey's different than football. Like, hockey, you got a whole bunch of games to play here. Football, you play once a week, so even that in itself gives you several days to get it together. But Australia is a whole new ball game. Like, I've been to Sydney, and it takes a while to figure it out once you get there. And when you come home, it takes a real while to figure it out.
Yeah.
Coming home from all the way over there. So, hey, listen, these guys, they'll sort it all out, but I think it'll be fun. It'll be fun for the Oilers and fun for Oilers fans.
Yes.
And you know what? I think it'd be a really cool trip. Like, I'll bet you Paul Almeida and his people that do those trips, they'll be all over this one. And it'd probably be tons of fun to bring your Oilers jersey and your wife and jump in the plane, go on the tour, and go watch a couple of hockey games in Cologne, man. I'll bet you Cologne's a cool place. I've not been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I put that question out to the listeners right before we got to you at the top of the hour here, Spec, and it does seem like this one from Craig Barnstable was like, when is the game scheduled? And I would assume it's probably either right at the start of October or maybe November, but he says Oktoberfest is late September into the start of October, would be worth the trip on its own, opportunity of an Oilers game while you are there, because we see tons of Oilers fans, Spec, schedule little holidays or trips to Vegas, to Nashville, maybe even out to New York or the tri-state area to catch a few games all on one of these Eastern road trips. This is obviously a much bigger undertaking to go across the Atlantic Ocean, but as you said, a really cool opportunity to see your favorite team and one of the best players playing in his home city. It would be a really cool experience.
Oh, for sure. And maybe hang around and watch a little hockey afterwards. Like,
right.
The Oilers go home. If I'm on that tour, I'm staying for a week if I'm going all the way over there.
Yeah, check out some DEL action and whatnot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would say they're for sure playing in the DEL in October, November, right? That's like
because those seasons usually start earlier than the NHL does.
Yeah. So for sure, go try take on a game. Germany's a great drivable country. You can go see some really cool stuff. Absolutely, sounds like a great trip. I have no clue if I'll be there.
Well, next words right on my mouth, Spec. Would you be going to this for work? Obviously, right? This isn't a holiday for you, but would you be putting the irons to your bosses at Sportsnet? Be like, yeah, this seems like a really good coverage opportunity for me to go and spend a week or so in Cologne, Germany.
Yeah, right. I would think so. I mean, I would hope so, but you never know, man. You know what? You never know. It's a long ways away. It's will I talk to my boss? But of course I will. But I would hope so. But you know what, man? Whatever. We'll sort it out. It's a year away. We've got a season to figure out here before we start going to Germany for games in October, November.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a good buddy cop opportunity. You and Kevin Karius make a little trip to Germany and in early October. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Mark Spector from Rogers Sportsnet with us on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in on the Tom Gazzola show this week. So, Spec, and the final thing I want to touch on with you is the golf tournament taking place in Edmonton this week and weekend, which is the CPKC Women's Open, the Canadian Open down at the Royal Mayfair. And you have been covering sports a long time in this city, and you've got the chance to cover a lot of different events. You've got the chance to attend a lot of different events, and Edmonton has been fortunate to host a lot of real marquee international, global, and certainly North American marquee sporting events. Is there any at the top of your list that really stand out that you've covered working, that you maybe went to as a fan, whether it was off the clock, on the clock, as a younger man, whatever the case, that kind of stand out in your extensive memory?
I would think it's that question makes me think of sort of like non-hockey football events.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there's been lots of Eskimo/Elk games, Grey Cups, a million hockey games. That's sort of, fairly regular stuff. We've seen a lot of those. To me, the things you really remember, like, I remember we did walk around the Mayfair. I'm trying to think of watching a women's tournament a few years back, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, 2013, I think, is when it was last year at the Mayfair. And Lydia Ko, who's in the field again this year, was the winner.
Yeah, she won it that year. That's right. And Michelle, the tall, very young Asian girl, Michelle, what was her last name?
Who, Don?
Come on, boys.
Michelle Wee?
Michelle Wee, thank you. She played in that tournament, and I followed her for a bunch of holes, and man, she just hit a beautiful golf ball, like, holy cow. But in terms of events you remember, like, I think it's things like, for instance, the World Track and Fields in 2001 was a really, like, we were such a non-track and field city. And we spent really 18 months I was at the Edmonton Journal. They made me a track writer, which I never thought I'd be. I covered track for, I went to the Sydney Olympics, covered track and field, went to a bunch of things like the Texas relays and the Cal State poly relays and all this stuff. And they brought this track meet to Edmonton, and, the city really fell in love with it. And we all kind of learned that if you actually sit in the stands and watch track, it's fascinating, like there's a lot of like the high jump competition that goes in the one end of the stadium. It lasts like 3.5 hours, and there's a ton of drama. And same with pole vault. They ran the marathon in the opening ceremonies, and those, the marathon runners, 3 of them entered the stadium right on each other's heels at the end of a marathon to do the last lap. It was, they couldn't have had a better situation. So to me, it's those things, like it's the rare one-offs that we've had here that you think back on. You think, man, like a little Western Canadian city puts 40,000 people in the Commonwealth Stadium for a track meet for 10 days in a row. Like, what the hell? So to me, that was one of the big ones for sure.
Very, very cool. Spec, excellent stuff as always. We'll finish with this, and this is probably the best suggestion of the morning so far from Tim on the text line. It says Sports 1440 on location in Germany. Come watch the Oilers, and Brandon and Spec and Tom delete some German beers. Sounds pretty good.
Like, let's do an Oktoberfest thing. We should be doing that. Now, the problem is it's 8 a.m, so that means 12:04. Your show's going to be going on at about 3 or 4 in the afternoon. So you're going to have to stay sober until then.
Smells like happy hour to me, Spec.
Okay, well, we've got lots of time. Get Gregor going on this thing, and let's all go over there.
Lots of time to get it fleshed out. All the details ironed to perfection. Spec, appreciate it as always, my friend. We'll wrap up the week with you tomorrow. I believe Eddie is back as well to chat at 8 o'clock.
All right, sounds good, man.
Mark Spector on the mark, powered by Northgate. This truck's for you. We come back. We will talk some NFL football with David Harrison. He covers the Washington Commanders for the Locked On Network down in D.C. When we return, he's our headliner of the day. Tom Gazzola Show, Brandon Douglas, Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick, all with you here. The show brought to you by Bet365.
Now through Saturday, Don't miss the VIP Overstock sale at Wolf GMC Buick. They're seriously overstocked with over 400 pieces of inventory on clearance and ready to move. Explore the entire inventory right now. Click on the clearance tab at wolfgmcbuick.com. Plus, employee pricing continues. And during the VIP Overstock sale, stop in for even more special incentives. Hurry, it ends Saturday at Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy.
Summer weekends in Alberta mean one thing: tournament season.
I brought the folding chairs. I brought the sunscreen. I brought the umbrella, just in case.
But who brought the snacks to get through a doubleheader?
I got Alberta's best beef jerky.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, the ultimate sideline fuel. Whether you're cheering on the kids or watching the pros, load up on Alberta's best beef jerky.
Wilhauk Beef Jerky, because you can't have summer fun with salad. Only available in Leduc.
Kickoff is coming August 21st. Elks, Blue Bombers at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. It's Country Night presented by Innova. Dust off that Canadian tuxedo and bring the hockey talk to the field. Get your tickets at goelks.com/tickets.
Do you know why people love working at GS Construction? It's honest work. It's work that needs to be done. And we're really good at what we do. That's why GS Construction has been in business for over 50 years. We won't be wearing a top hat and tails, more like hard hat and boots, because we're heading underground to keep the water flowing in and out of your homes and businesses in Edmonton. GS Construction is currently looking for experienced pipe layers and top men. Visit gsconstruction.ca/careers today.
Election Day is October 19th. Are you referendum ready? Start by making sure you're registered to vote and your information is up to date, especially if you've recently moved or changed your name. Then, check if you have the identification you'll need to vote. The easiest option is a government-issued photo ID showing your full name and current residential address. But there are more than 50 ways to prove your identity. Find everything you need to be referendum ready at elections.ab.ca/voters. A message from Elections Alberta.
Alberta, this one's for you. Around here, trust takes a few winters. It's why players have known Jackpot City since 1998. Home to hundreds of exciting casino games, live dealer action, and new adventures waiting to be discovered. Jackpot City, nothing beats the original. Please play responsibly, 18 years or older, Alberta only.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca.
For over 60 years, the folks at Diablo Boots have been selling the best Canadian-made boots. Handcrafted in Winnipeg, Canada West makes the best quality cowboy, biker, and work boots for Diablo Boots with replaceable soles and heels. Why buy cheaper quality like Ariat, Justin, and Red Wing made in China when Canadian-made is better? Support Canada's workers and Diablo Boots for the best boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods. That's Diablo Boots, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. Canada West and Diablo Boots, the two best names in the boots business.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas
On Edmonton's sports leader.
Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440, 821 here on a Thursday morning. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tommy G this week. Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson alongside in studio as well. And our text line is jumping 1-833-414-1440. The show brought to you by Bet365. Early payout on baseball games. If your team goes up by 5 runs, you get paid out immediately. No stress about blowing a big lead. Download the app and see what early payouts all about. And the news about the Edmonton Oilers heading to Germany to play a couple regular season games next season, the 26-27 campaign. And our question to the listeners, would you make a trip around this? Would you schedule something, a little holiday, a vacation, whether it be in early October, maybe start of November? We've seen the global series play at that time of year before. And Erwin texted and said, we're going to Poland next fall. I'd consider a Germany start with this Oilers news. And a few others similar sentiments around the fact of, they would be in on a trip to go watch their team play abroad. And a team that played abroad last season in Spain, the Washington Commanders, is where we're going to head next for our headliner of the day, brought to you by Mr. Rooter Plumbing, stepping up to the plate so you won't have to. For all your plumbing needs, go to mrrooter.ca. We welcome back David Harrison, host of the Locked On Commanders podcast, to the program. David, good morning. You're with Brandon Douglas here on Sports 1440. Appreciate you hopping on today. How are things going down in D.C.?
Oh, man, of course. Good morning. I appreciate the invite. And, things are good. We got storms rolling in, but a quick practice today, early release, so I'll be able to get on the road here a little bit and avoid that.
Awesome.
But, good to talk to you again.
So, David, I just kind of touched on the fact that our local hockey club here in the NHL, the Oilers, are headed to Germany next season. The Commanders played in Spain last year. Were you able to make that trek, or were you watching from back at home base?
No, I was there. All week for practice. We were there at the I'm not a big soccer guy, so I can't remember the name of the team out there. And it was very popular, so I'm going to catch flack for that. But great facility, great host country. The host media there was really cool. Just overall great experience. Absolutely.
And just before we dive into the Commanders here during training camp in this upcoming season, like we've heard Roger Goodell say it, and it pretty bluntly, right? Like he absolutely envisions a world where the NFL, does expand to play outside of the United States of America. Now, you've been to one of these games in person in Spain. I have to think the UK and London would be the first landing spot. But if we're taking Goodell at his word here, do you see it being as like a single team, maybe two, or do you think they would go full-fledged and have a European division of 4 teams or so, all kind of in one fell swoop? What do you think?
That's an interesting logistical problem for them to try to figure out. I think one is kind of where my mind has always kind of gone. But, the idea of having like a division over there and trying to figure out the schedule to where, if you're playing, like that's actually really interesting that you brought that. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never thought about it that way. But, say the Washington Commanders are playing I don't even know what they'll call it, like the AFC Europe, right? Like they're playing the AFC Europe this year. And, maybe you just round robin it, right? You go to Europe and you spend 4 weeks in Europe and you just play all 4 teams. Or, 2 weeks, I suppose. You'd play 2 home, 2 away. That's really interesting way to go about it. I think the question would obviously come down to logistics. Also would come down to, the monetization. Of course, everything is driven by money. And, the World League, was NFL affiliated, back in like the 80s. NFL Europe was a thing for a while. And, so what is the case study of why both of those eventually shut down? And what does that say about today's game? I think those are all, kind of parts of those conversations. But I do know, I think the days of all 32 teams, like basically, if you're a beat reporter like me, like you're basically just knowing you're going overseas somewhere once a year, every year. I think that's probably the first step for the NFL is getting to where they can do that. And then from there, I think that's where, London and all that stuff comes in. Funny enough, real quick, my first exposure to football was in Germany. My father was stationed overseas when I was a kid. And my favorite team to this day, because of those experiences, is the Frankfurt Galaxy, who still exists in a different form, not World League or NFL Europe, obviously, and their rival, the London Monarchs. So if the London Monarchs become the first overseas team in the NFL, I will not appreciate them. But obviously that would be exciting for the league.
No doubt. And I think I'm in lockstep with you about that notion of further expansion of the European and world schedule before we actually get to the point of teams being based outside of the United States. So we'll be interesting to continue to follow that in years to come as we chat with David Harrison from Locked On Commanders down in Washington, D.C. So David, I want to start with the quarterback and Jane Daniels. The superb rookie season that lit the league on fire en route to an NFC championship game appearance, of course, ultimately falling there to the Eagles. But a pretty noticeable step back last year for the team on whole. And Daniels, he's such an athletic guy, but he is a little bit slighter in stature. So on the field wise, is there any real noticeable difference this season to try and improve his viability, on the field week to week and actually play out a full season schedule in the NFL?
Yeah, there is. I mean, it definitely looks like there's a deliberate effort to, get him into the muscle memory of staying alive as a passer longer versus just taking off and running. His rookie season, I kind of, partially joking, partially not joking, would kind of comment that his progression is read 1, read 2, run, right? And then a lot of times, and some of that is rookie clock and some of that is defenses getting pressure, et cetera. But that really was kind of how he played. And even last year, we didn't get to see a whole lot of him, unfortunately, but what you did see was kind of a similar operation. Here in training camp, we've seen a lot of, situations where you would kind of normally think that Jaden would take off and run, and he's actually extending plays, staying alive as a passer. Even seen him throw the ball away a few times, which is a new wrinkle, which I know is kind of weird to say, but it is what it is. Now, and when he does take off and run, for yesterday, for example, in one of the team periods, he took off, climbed the pocket, ran up the middle of the field. It was a good decision, wide open middle of the field. Why not take advantage of it? But they immediately blew the play dead. As soon as he crossed the line of scrimmage, they got cool, and they make the dead ball spot right there. And they say, we're not giving you those Shaden Daniel, running yards. We're gonna make you go right back here and run another play. And it's not that, I don't think it's going to get to the extent where in season they're telling Jaden, hey, don't run. It's more so just helping him understand and getting him used to the fact that, hey, we're going to provide you multiple answers in the field of play. We want you to have, take the time you can to operate and then find those answers before you turn yourself into an answer. And even when you do, slide, get out of bounds, right? Do those things to protect yourself.
And how much of improving him as a passer can go in tandem with improving the receiving talent that is available to him? We know how good Terry McLaurin is and has been for a long time in DC now, but the addition of Stephon Diggs, Luke McCaffrey continuing to grow a little bit. They make their second draft pick, Antonio Williams, off the board, a receiver, Treylon Burks, Tommy Brown, Van Jefferson, even there's a lot of experience inside this receiver room now. Is it at a high enough overall level to complement what Daniels is able to do throwing the ball?
I think it can be. And you just named a lot of names, right? And those are all valid names. Also, tight end Chigakonkwo, running back Rashad White, running back Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt. Bill has looked improved as a pass catcher. I've been able to talk to him a couple of times. I know he put a lot of work in this offseason and getting bigger so that he could help, take contact, but also pass block. And then he's been working on his hands a lot, and it's shown. He's made some really good catches out here in training camp. So, lots of weapons. And something that's really cool, I was actually just talking to the new Commanders cornerback, Nick Robertson, about this, is there are answers all over the field. And you go back to the preseason game against the Miami Dolphins, there's multiple plays where even when the ball is completed to an open receiver, you look out there in the field and there's one or two other open receivers that are there available to the quarterback. And that's what David Blau is really trying to do, is provide Jaden Daniels with all those answers in the field of play so that he doesn't have to become, it doesn't have to be all on Jaden. And when you use his athleticism, it's because it's in addition to not just the primary function. And I think those guys you named, they're doing a really great job. Luke is certainly taking a step forward. Stephon Diggs, if you didn't know Stephon Diggs was the oldest receiver on the field out here, you would not know that he was the oldest receiver on the field. So they've got a lot of potential. Dolphins defense, not known as, not expected to be one of the best in the league, so there's a grain of salt there. Lions defense this weekend is supposed to be an uptick, obviously, and we'll see how much or if the starters get in there. And then, the Ravens defense has long been one of those highly regarded, and not for nothing, but the Commanders and Ravens play a lot in the preseason because they're neighbors. And typically the Ravens defense does a pretty good job. So we'll see how it looks when we get to that week as well.
Talking all things Washington Commanders with David Harrison, host of Locked On Commanders down in DC. So one of those names you'd mentioned as a pass catching option, not receiver position, is Rashad White, who comes over from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Bill Crosby-Merritt had himself a fine rookie season, really grabbed a lot of headlines out of training camp, right? And jumped up a ton of people's fantasy draft boards and stuff like that. And it had himself a fine campaign. But how do you see this workload sharing out between the two? Because Rashad White, not the most efficient runner in Tampa Bay at times in what was not a great run scheme that they had with the Buccaneers. But as you mentioned, a great pass catcher, third down back, a lot of viability. So what do you see the split looking like between Crosby-Merritt and White?
Yeah, I wish I could give you like a percentage, right? Because that's what I'm trying to hone in on myself for my coverage and also for my fantasy football success. But I really do look at them as kind of 1A, 1B. You know what I mean? And I think it's going to kind of depend on game flow. It's going to kind of depend. And I know we hate hearing that, from coaches and stuff. But I really think it's true with this unit is, there's going to be games where Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt and his one-cut ability and all that kind of stuff is just going to take advantage of opposing defense. There's going to be games where Rashad White's ability and consistency and grinding out the yards and being a reliable runner and ball, securer of the football is going to be more valuable. And so I just think there's going to be, like, you might have some games where, one's got 12, 13 touches and the other's got 8 touches. And total, I think the running backs are probably going to look at like 25 touches a game. I think is probably the high end of it right off the bat. But, again, like Ja'Cory has a lot to prove. There's a lot of comments about him last year coming from Cliff Kingsbury himself about his, not like bluntly inability to pass, protect, and catch, but he's got a lot to prove there. He's done well here, like I said, but you still got to prove it, especially when the games come. And there was a ball security issue with Bill last year that he's got to show this team that he's cleaned up. So I think in the initial phases, you're going to see a much more kind of a cleaner split. The more Bill shows this team that he's cleaned up the fumbles and he's gotten better as a pass protector and a pass catcher, I think like by end of year, you could be looking at kind of like a 70-30 split if Bill can take those steps forward.
Now, last one before we jump over the defensive side of the ball here is we chat with David Harrison from Locked On Commanders on the Tom Gazzola show, is the offensive line. And the loss of Laramie Tunsil is a big one. He has been one of the very best tackles, and at times I think probably the best left tackle in the NFL over the course of his career. Is the group that was much improved last season overall compared to years prior. Can it withstand the loss of Tunsil, or is this going to be a tough hurdle for them to overcome?
You know, it's always tough when you lose a guy of Laramie's caliber, right? And it's not even just the play on the field. Like, he's such a leader in that locker room. He's such a mentor to those younger linemen. Like, it's a big blow, you know, because he's away from the team, you know, rehabbing. And look, you know, he might return. Laramie has long been a pro who kind of has his team, has his methods, and knows what he wants to do. And so he kind of handles that on his own. So, you know, we'll have to see if he returns. But just on the line, obviously, is going to be a big blow. Truthfully, though, Brandon Coleman, who he was competing for the left guard job, slid over to left tackle. He played there his entire year as a rookie in 2024 with Jade and did an admirable job, I thought, as a third-round rookie left tackle. Last year, moved inside the left guard, eventually lost that job to Chris Paul. And then Laramie actually, he missed the last 3.5 games of the year last year, and Brandon slid out to that left tackle spot then as well. And in those 3.5 games, gave up 0 sacks, only 2 pressures. So he's a very capable left tackle, right? He's not Laramie Tunsil. And I think the greatest thing that we've heard David Blau say is he's not expecting Brandon Coleman to be Laramie Tunsil, right? So there's going to be adjustments. There's going to be shifts, like more chip blocks on that side than you were planning on before. Maybe heavier sets staggered to the left side than you were expecting before, right? So there's going to be some adjustments. But so far, you know, the issue has not been Brandon Coleman by a long shot. To me, honestly, right now, the biggest issue on the offensive line is Nick Allegretti, who returned from his strained calf that he suffered on the first day of training camp for about 2 days. And then basically, I don't know if call it a re-aggravation, but it tightened up on him yesterday. So he left early, didn't practice today. And so now, even Dan Quinn admitted this morning, like, yeah, there's a level of concern there because he's your starting center. He's your most experienced center, and he's the smartest guy on the offensive line. So I think that right now, to me, is the bigger concern, to be quite honest.
Now, on the defensive side of the ball, David, you know, Dan Quinn has been such a good D coordinator and at different times, you know, a very good head coach, obviously, as well. But the defense has been a bit of a sore spot with this club, even with his overseeing of it. Now, a lot of turnover this year. There was a lot of talk. They were too old, a little too on the slower side. They bring in a lot of fresh faces, including the drafting of Sonny Styles inside the top 10. What have you made of this guy who's pretty versatile in the middle to part of that defense back there?
Yeah, Sonny's great. I go back to, so I was actually able to catch a game, you know, Commanders bye week. I was able to go to Columbus, catch Ohio State against Rutgers, which, funny enough, Ethan Kaliak-Manis, the Rutgers quarterback, is now here with the Commanders as well. So I didn't know it at the time, but I was getting a little bit of a preview of 2 players I was about to cover. But I remember Sonny standing out in that game. I went to Columbus for the Ohio State Pro Day. Sonny didn't work out, but I got a chance to kind of walk across the field with him and just talk. Not an interview, but just kind of talk, get to know him a little bit. And I'll tell you, I'm twice his age. And I walked away from that conversation. I told one of the Commander scouts that was there, I said, bro, I feel like I should call this guy sir. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how he presents himself. And he's just got such a command, got such a presence about himself. Work ethic is on point. And I said it, he's trying to just check every block, like from there, intro press conferences, rookie camp, OTAs, mini camp, now training camp. He's just checked every block. What he wants to improve on from that preseason debut, you know, the reads were good. He identified plays well. Coverage looked solid. He was in the fits he needed to be in, but with the aggression, right? Like, let's bring the violence out. Let's thump some of these offensive linemen who try to block you or push you out of those gaps. Let's hit some of these running backs that are coming through there. And earlier this week in practice, first padded practice of the week, he brought some thump on his own guys. So if he's going to bring some thump to his own guys, you know he's going to bring it to the Lions. So I think this week you're going to see a much maybe more explosive version of Sonny Styles. Truthfully, because he is young, could potentially overcorrect, right? And that's something that we got to be prepared for, but it's all part of the process. But I think he's got all the tools. I think he's got the right mindset. His father obviously was in the business, so he's raised him right, and he understands what he's taking on. I think he's going to be really good for this team for a long time.
Now, the rest of the defensive unit, as I mentioned, a lot of turnover. They bring in some fresh faces, Settle, Owe, Nick Cross, Amik Robertson on the back end as well. Is this enough to pair with some of these higher draft picks they made in the likes of Styles, obviously Trey Amos from last year, and for tough news for Johnny Newton, down to injury this season. A timetable of his return probably not looking very promising, but not confirmed yet. Is this group improved enough to be a benefit to the team rather than a detriment that we've seen it at times in the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think so. I think, Dan Quinn said today that Johnny is going to miss a significant amount of time. There's no, number on it, like you said, but it's going to be a while before we see Johnny Newton again. And that's unfortunate. But I think that, with the front seven they have, and even they've had some guys banged up missing practice this week, they still look pretty solid. And I think Durante Jones, the defensive coordinator, as much as we praise David Blau for creating answers for the quarterback on the offensive side, Durante has done just as good a job on the defensive side of providing opportunities for his players to get pressures and to be in the right place. And we've seen, the second and third team defenses get a really good amount of interceptions off of quarterbacks in this training camp because they're in those positions. Unfortunately for the first team defense, they're going up against Jaden Daniels, who does a really good job of making sure he doesn't put the ball into those places. But you see the system is producing. And then again, that preseason game, they get 3 interceptions off the Miami Dolphins. So I think there's going to be enough opportunity. Where I would be concerned if I had one is the depth of the secondary. If they, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but if they start to lose some of their starters and have to rely on some of their depth guys, I think that's where you're going to see the biggest drop off.
David Harrison from Locked On Commanders, our guest here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tommy G this week. Last one for you, David, and it kind of is a bit of a two-parter where this NFC East division, right? The Cowboys offense has proven to be dynamic and electric at times. The Eagles, they're obviously the reigning champs in this regard, but suddenly some questions looming there, particularly, the departure of A.J. Brown. Can Jalen Hurts get back to the way he plays in Super Bowls? And the Giants, a team that expects to be on the rise with new head coach Jim Harbaugh. So my question to you is, where do the Commanders fit in all of this? And how warm is the seat for Dan Quinn to take a step back in the right direction after a pretty glaring step backwards last year?
Yeah, the hot seat part of it is kind of interesting because, I don't really get the sense around the organization that anybody's kind of, hovering over the panic button or anything like that. I totally get like the outside, perspective of it. You go from 12-5 to 5-12 from NFC Championship game to not even close. That's not an unusual or unreasonable conversation to have. Hiring the 2 first-time coordinators to me was kind of a sign that, hey, like there's still belief in what they're doing here, and there's maybe a little bit of patience. Now, obviously, if the bottom falls out of this thing and you go 5-12 again, I don't know if any coach can survive back-to-back 5-win seasons, so that would be a different conversation. But I think in the NFC East, man, I honestly, like that Eagles defense is obviously incredibly scary, and they're going to carry the water for a lot of the wins that Eagles get this year. I think the Dallas Cowboys. I was actually just having a conversation with another media member about this today, interestingly enough. And we both had to kind of reluctantly admit, I think Dallas Cowboys have the best team and roster on paper in the NFC East. Now, whether that means they take the division, obviously, is a totally different conversation. But I think this Commanders team can slug it out with any of these teams. And I think, if they can go 4-4 within the division or better, then they'll have a puncher's chance at the end of it.
David, great stuff. Excellent insight. Appreciate your time this morning. Enjoy the remainder of the preseason action and then the regular season right around the corner. We're all looking forward to it tremendously. Have a good one, and thanks again for hopping on this morning.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Thank you.
David Harrison, Locked On Commanders down in D.C., and our headliner of the day brought to you by Mr. Rooter, dropping the gloves on every clog pool. That's mrrooter.ca. It's an interesting division, and history tells us a different team wins it every year. But little continuity can go a long way, and I still think the Giants are probably 4th, but the Commanders, as David kind of touched on a few different times, do seem to be like one injury or real underperformance in certain position groups away from being pretty fragile, right? I don't know if they have the biggest depth at a few different spots. So those teams are interesting, and I do think it's the Eagles and the Cowboys to duke out. And not just trying to be agreeable for the sake of doing so, but I think David's right that the Cowboys on paper have the best roster going into the season inside the NFC East. Are David and I out to lunch here, Donovan, or how do you see it?
I think, yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say you're totally out to lunch, but I would still
You still take the Eagles, even without do you have enough confidence in Devontae Smith to step into the WR1 role, replace AJ Brown, and then your number 2 option really is an NFL rookie?
Yes, but this is a very high pedigree rookie who basically from the sounds of it had poor draft interviews, and that's one of the main contributing reasons why he fell.
Mm-hmm.
However, I don't know. I view Devontae Smith very similarly. Now, different body styles, different types of play. I view him very similarly to T. Higgins. I think this is a guy who you're going to finally get to see what he truly, truly is, right? Because he's largely played second fiddle his entire career to A.J. Brown. And T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase in front of him his whole career pretty much. So,
but has Higgins, Higgins has moments where he looks like a number 1 receiver, but it's not like he's had to take that mantle for extended periods of time without the security of Jamar Chase taking, the more important coverages, double teams, and things like that. That's what Devontae Smith is now facing. The security blanket is gone.
But I think these are two, in both players' cases, I think those are two players who very there's wide receiver 2s, and then there's wide receiver 1As. 1As or 1Bs, right? To me, those are 2 1Bs. I look at Devontae Smith and T. Higgins as 2 players who, should they be your wide receiver 1? Probably not. But if they're your wide receiver 1, I think you're still in a decent spot.
And Jalen Hurts, all his interceptions in training camp and preseason don't concern you. They seem to be a big concern to MTR on the text line.
I'm not as big into the... It's preseason, man. It's the Eagles. I still expect them to lock in. It is what it is for me. And I'm just never going to buy into the Cowboys as this juggernaut. They always find a way to blow it somehow.
The Cowboys will do it. Ye have little faith. When we come back, we will check in on the CPKC from down in the Mayfair, update you on some of the standings. Nelly Corda is underway. Brooke Henderson coming up at 121 alongside another former champion. In fact, champion at the Mayfair, Lydia Ko. So that's a great opening day pairing if you are making your way down there. I was down there yesterday afternoon during the Pro-Am. I'll just fill you in on a few little tidbits that I picked up on in my quick stroll around the grounds. And then top of the hour, Sean Bell, a gentleman pretty familiar with hockey in Europe himself, having played there for a few seasons. We'll chat with Belsy as he's our co-host from 9 to 11. And at 9:20, we're going to talk more football, actually, but at the university level, as Christian Veilleux, new QB for the University of Alberta Golden Bears. This guy played at Penn State, Pitt, and Georgia State. Power 5 conferences experience for now a guy now suiting up in our own backyard at Footfield. So we'll look forward to that conversation with him. We'll also go in or out with Donovan. We'll hear Cam and Eggs and lots more in between. But we'll wrap up the 8 o'clock hour when we return here on the Tom Gazzola Show, brought to you by Bet365.
Tee up for a great day on the course and support the Stony Plain Eagles Senior Men's Hockey Club. It's the Stony Plain Eagles Golf Tournament. Gather your foursome and join the Eagles August 25th at the Links at Spruce Grove for a 2 p.m. shotgun start. Enjoy a fantastic afternoon of golf, great company, and friendly competition, all while supporting the Stony Plain Eagles. Get all the details and register today at stonyplaineagles.com.
Are you a skilled laborer? All-Star Construction wants to talk to you. A heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience? All-Star Construction wants to talk to you, too. With work in and around Edmonton for local land developers, All-Star Construction offers year-round employment. Whether it's power, gas, or telecom, developers rely on All-Star Construction to get the job done. So if you're a skilled laborer or a heavy equipment operator with Traco or backhoe experience searching for work, search All-Star Construction on Indeed.
Legendary is here with BetMGM Casino. Download to check out over 4,000 casino games, including exclusive slots like Survivor and hundreds of live dealer games. Unlock Vegas magic and sign up for the BetMGM app. See BetMGM.com for terms. 18 plus, Alberta only. Please play responsibly. Subject to eligibility requirements. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. BetMGM operates pursuant to an operating agreement with the Alberta iGaming Corporation. Standard message and data rates may apply.
Employee pricing is back at Nisku Ford. Pay the same as Ford Motor Company employees, plus get the benefits of being a Nisku Ford customer. You'll have the best selection of new Ford vehicles from our great lineup of SUVs, from Bronco Sports and Explorers right up to the Ford Expedition, and Ford trucks from the Ford Maverick, Ranger, F-150, and Super Duty. Ford employee pricing is the biggest event on the Nisku Ford calendar, but hurry, it won't last forever, and inventory is limited. Take advantage of employee pricing today at Nisku Ford. Above expectations.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas
On Edmonton's sports leader.
Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Coming up on 9 o'clock here in Edmonton, it's Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G on Friday Junior. Donovan Paulson on the ones and twos. Josh Fenwick keeping us online and on track with all of our video feeds. You can watch us. We're on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, even over on Twitch. And the show brought to you by Bet365. Our text line, 1-833-401-1440. Happy to hear from you over the course of the morning. Are you heading down to the Royal Mayfair where the CP Casey is underway? Current leaderboard just changed in the blink of an eye through 3 holes. It is Runo Ning Yin out of China. She's 2 under through 3. Nasa Hatoka also 2 under, and then Aria Judanugarn of Thailand. Please stick with me with some of the pronunciations. All those 2 under. And then how about this? The Canadian amateur, Vanessa Boravilos, she is 1 under through 5 in a whole log jam at T4, which also includes the Canadian Anna Huang. Nelly Corda, she's through a couple holes, 1 under, the current world number 1. And as mentioned, defending champion, 2-time winner of the event, Brooke Henderson, she will tee off at 121 with 3-time Canadian women's champion and winner last time it was at the Royal Mayfair, Lydia Ko, that at 121. Now, Josh Fenwick, our in-house basketball expert, there was a trade in the NBA, one of substance, unlike the Anaheim Ducks making a trade for future considerations yesterday. But this one, Peyton Watson joining the Cavaliers, Max Strus heads to LA on the Clippers, and the Denver Nuggets, one of the more confusing teams in the NBA. They get a 2031 first-round pick and a 2032 second-round pick. With the deal, Watson also signs a 4-year, $88 million extension with a player option and trade kicker now with the Cavaliers. What does this trade mean? Is this the Cavaliers kind of pivoting away like, all right, we missed out on the LeBron train, that's fine, but we still are a big believer in this club? And they shore things up by bringing in a guy like Peyton Watson and with a 4-year extension in tow as well.
Yeah, good move by the Cavs. I mean, this is a guy that was drafted by Sam Presti with one of the many picks that they took from the Los Angeles Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first like big sign that he's a good player. And then of course, like last year he averaged 15 points, almost 50% from the field on the Nuggets. Didn't get enough playing time. I'm sure there was some strain with him in the front office. He said, I'm not signing an extension. Max Strus, also a good player who got sent away from the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets sent to the Clippers. I just don't know. Like, I don't understand why the Clippers were a part of this.
Well, forget that. This is actually a 5-team trade. So those are the primary pieces. But also in the mix, the Wizards get Trey Mann out of Cleveland.
Right.
And a 2027 second rounder from the Cavaliers via the Clippers. And the Hornets get Dennis Schroeder and cash. And also Cam Whitmore goes to Cleveland from the Wizards, and Julian Reese goes to Denver from the Wizards, but likely to waive Reese off of his 2-way deal. This all via ESPN and their reports. So surprisingly complicated deal. 5-team 5-team deal, but I think the headlining pieces here are obviously Strus and Watson.
Yeah.
And then the Nuggets, who get long-range draft picks. Are these just more capital for them to try and turn around and turn into something to help them right now? Because I'm starting to get the impression that the Nuggets are wasting Nikola Jokic and one of the best basketball players we've ever seen in the NBA.
I mean, yes, they have one ring, so like flags fly forever.
Yes,
Jinx.
But when you have a guy as good as Jokic, this is a multiple-time MVP.
You should be in
enough?
the mix more. You should be in the mix more. And they're not. You thought maybe Peyton Watson could be a guy that, he's a shooting guard, but sort of take some time, take some reps away from Aaron Gordon, who battles injuries throughout his entire career and was made to play. They've made good moves. They just haven't gotten over the hump again, so to speak. I mean, again, they already won, but they just haven't been able to get back to it. I mean, they're going to turn that 2020 or 2031 pick into somebody. Yeah.
I think they have to, right? Like
they have to.
And they're in some cap issues, correct? So like, is this a situation where, all right, we're not going to be able to pay Watson this extension.
Mm-mm.
And so we'll recoup and try and flip then the picks that you acquire into something cheaper, but still available to help us in the here and now.
Yeah, is
that an oversimplification of it?
No, like that's really whatever you want to get. What's Eddie say as soon as they sign you? As soon as they sign you, they want to get younger and cheaper.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same across all the sports. But like you also have to find a guy that's young and cheap and is it the same caliber of player that Peyton Watson is. I mean, again, like he only played 54 games for the Nuggets this year.
Right.
But like if you can find a guy that where you're like, okay, well, we're just trading away, this 2031 pick, another like 2028 first rounder, and blank. I can't even think of a Nuggets name right now. And they get some 22-year-old guy that, they're like, oh, this guy's got boom potential. You know what I mean? Like it's really what it is.
Maybe a former first rounder that hasn't quite splashed yet with their current team or something.
When you're referred to as former first rounder, you just know
when do you turn from prospect to suspect?
Exactly. So I just confusing moves from the Nuggets, really bad return. I like it for the Cavs.
Yeah.
And I like Trey Mann to the Wizards.
For the Wizards, a sleepy team that they've assembled quite the list of names.
I'm very out on Trae Young, just like it's a basketball player. So no, they have not. And Anthony Davis will play, 17 games from next year before he gets traded to.
Oh, I thought you were going to say before he goes back to filming his prank TV show.
We
learned the name of it, and now I've already.
I had to Google it, but
the Blake Griffin prank show was double crossed. I can't remember what Anthony Davis is. We'll check on that. Before we get to the top of the hour and Sean Bell into Coas, it's text from Patty and Spruce 18334 and 1440 says, Brandon, I'm on my way to the Royal Mayfair right now. Patty, I popped by yesterday. Mackenzie, the former intern and social media guru for us here at the station, we dipped down there and went and got our credentials and everything. Bring your walking shoes, man. And this is just naiveness on my end. I've never been to a golf tournament, like let alone a professional one as a spectator. So there's a lot of walking. You can, of course, camp out in one spot and hang out. But I recommend downloading the Golf Canada app if you don't have it already. It's like right on the home page. It gives you the map of the place, helps you get around where all the main hubs are. There's really cool. Lots of concessions. The rink hole, we walked past it. I didn't go into it. I'm looking forward to doing that this afternoon when I head down following the conclusion of the show. So, Patty, enjoy yourself. Weather, beautiful. Not too hot, a little overcasty today, I think, is the expectation. And hopefully the mosquitoes aren't too bad, because that was actually something several different of the ladies said at the podium following their Pro-Am round yesterday. It's like a lot of bugs. A lot of mosquitoes. So hopefully that doesn't deter the fans and, of course, the players in their efforts down at the Royal Mayfair. Top of the hour, Sean Bell is waiting patiently across from me on the desk here. He will co-host with us from 9 to 11 o'clock. Before that, let's have a Sports 1440 update brought to you by All-Star Construction. They shape and build Edmonton communities specializing in underground utilities like power, gas, telecommunication, and street lighting. That's All-Star Construction. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
MLB action from last night. In case you missed it, the Jays fell 7-6 after a disastrous misplay from Jesus Sanchez. The Pirates walked off the Tigers with a homer from Brandon Lau. The Mets doubled up on the Padres. The White Sox blanked the Cubbies 3-0. The D-backs knocked past the Bo Sox in extras 7-6. The Yankees topped the Orioles 5-3. Nationals blanking the Rangers. The Guardians fell to the Giants 1-0. Some NFL news. Vita Vea, he's staying with the Bucks on a 1-year, $30 million ticket. And the Oilers, they're going to be headed to Cologne, Germany in the 2027-28 season for the NHL's Global Series. Coming up, we've got our co-host, Sean Bell, right after the break. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's your Sports 1440 update.
This is Sports 1440, a Stingray radio station broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
Why tee off at the Ranch Golf and Country Club?
A fun, unique layout offering premier conditions. The Ranch has been ranked as one of the top public courses in Canada.
Unmatched value. Score Golf Magazine rated the Ranch as the best value in Edmonton.
The service, from tournaments to special events to the pro shop. Superior service that makes every visit exceptional.
The Ranch Golf and Country Club, a laid-back environment where anyone can enjoy an amazing day on the fairways. For details, visit theranchgolf.com.
Not sure what wheels fit your vehicle? Evolve Wheels and Tires gives you honest advice from enthusiasts who know fitment inside and out. Whether it's your truck, SUV, or sports car, they have you covered. Evolve Wheels and Tires, Edmonton's premium wheel specialists. Evolve your ride. Evolve your experience.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
For all your welding supplies, think AWS Welding. Located in Nisku, their readily stocked storefront carries a wide variety of welding glasses, cylinder rentals, plus welding rod, wire, and consumables. Same-day delivery is always available. And if they don't have it, AWS Welding will find it for you fast. Visit their online store today at awswelding.ca or give them a call or text at 780-979-0470. AWS Welding. They make it happen.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Just after 9 o'clock, welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas, happy to be sitting in for Tommy G one more day after this. He will be back Monday morning, bright and early, 7 a.m. with Eddie Steele. They'll recap the whole week and all that jazz. But in the meantime, happy to be sliding into the big chair. The show brought to you by Bet365. Canada just hit the biggest home run of the summer. Bet365 is available in Alberta and here to stay. Download the app. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. And Thursday at 9 means we welcome in our co-host, the former NHLer, former Edmonton Oiler, Sean Bell, to the program. Bellsy, good morning. How are you,
guys? I'm fantastic.
Fantastic. How's the weather out there on your way in?
It was starting to heat up.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we were talking with Spec, and even on my drive in, is like a little crisper, little like one of those real dewy mornings. It's real moist out there. So should be nice weather this afternoon down to the CPKC at the Royal Mayfair, where the Canadian Women's Open is well underway. Brooke Henderson set to tee off at 121 as the defending tournament champion. Now, Belzy, we want to dive right in to a topic that has not dominated, but certainly been an integral part of our conversation so far this morning. And you have a lot of extra insight on this because the Edmonton Oilers are scheduled to go play a couple games in Cologne, Germany next season, the 26-27 year. I would expect to either open the season at the beginning of October or maybe into the beginning of November. We've seen that a little bit from the Global Series scheduling as well. Pretty cool. Obviously, Leon Draisaitl back playing a couple games in his hometown. We expect Josh Szymanski to still be a part of the team at that point as a German native himself and native of the language, which will probably help with some of the media fronts that the team endures while they're over. It's not going to be, it'll be very heavy Leon, I'm sure, but Szymanski can maybe bear a little bit of that load. You played in Germany in the DEL for a number of seasons in Mannheim. What take us inside that a little bit in terms of like hockey in Germany and comparing it, whether it be environment-wise, the popularity and all that, to what we get to see over here on our side of the planet.
Yeah, no, it's a great topic because like when I went over there, I obviously played like national team games and stuff like that, and you get to experience a little bit, but mostly it's a pro Canadian crowd anyway. But then when you actually get to go into those particular leagues and play, you get to see the true atmosphere. And so when I stepped foot in Mannheim, I was actually shocked by the sheer size of the building. Like it was an NHL building. I would say it was probably, close to the MTS Center, Winnipeg, size wise. They did an unbelievable job of hosting players. It was a cool environment. And the thing that separates, I think, North American fans versus European fans is when you're in those games, like they're singing and chanting and dancing the entirety of the game. And then if you're on a good team, obviously, you have like this, I don't even know how to describe it, but after the game, you go into the dressing room, you take off your shoulder pads, your elbow pads, you put on another jersey, you come back out and you almost do like a victory lap. And you're like clapping for the fans and you're like waving to the fans because you're like thanking them. So here, the Oilers will tap their sticks, lift them up in the air and, kind of go off the ice. But there you're doing the victory lap and then you line up across the blue line and you have like a series of different like chants or songs that you got to go through. And, it's like very interactive and people they get to kind of see you like without your helmet on. So they kind of get to know you, but not really because obviously you're still on the ice. But we would always do those. And then the 2 years that I was in Mannheim, we were obviously like really good hockey teams and super passionate. And there was one time we played Augsburg and a local boy, Tyler Wyman, who played with me in Tri-City. He was over there and he was a goaltender for Augsburg and we lost in a shootout. And so now we're shaking hands and I look back for whatever odd reason, but our fans are like lighting flares and trying to light their building on fire. And I'm like, Wimes, are you looking at this? He's like, this is insane. But like, that's just a level of passion that, these fans have, and especially when you're one of those, big money teams, they don't expect you to lose ever. So it's just a different environment. And, the passion's still there, obviously here in North America, but here in Edmonton, like fans cheer for big hits, they cheer for goals, they cheer for like good play. There, it's just consistent, and they just cheer the whole time.
And I mean, or at least my impression of that is it's a spillover from the soccer culture, right?
Absolutely.
And it's essentially the same. But the reality is like it's also it's just European culture because man, they've been doing this in hockey rinks just as long as they've been doing it in the soccer stadiums, right? Like this is a continent, and when you talk about places like Germany and Sweden and stuff where hockey has been around essentially just as long, and it's been very popular there for this long period of time too. So
yeah, and it's different too. Like it's just the buildings have evolved over time. Like there's a lot of stadiums that were outdoor, like they're outdoor indoor stadiums. So you have the roof, but the outside, like the walls were missing.
Yeah.
And so like guys would be playing in these stadiums and you're like, man, I can see like downtown right now while I'm playing. Awesome. So like there's like some cool things and it's a different environment once you kind of embrace it. But the Euros in Mannheim, we actually played against the Buffalo Sabres. So we got that opportunity. It wasn't obviously an NHL team versus an NHL team, but just really interesting to see kind of just the different level.
Yeah.
I think we ended up losing like 5-2 or something like that. But Buffalo was, one of the teams that was, I wouldn't say they were the best team in the NHL at that particular time, but like you just saw the difference between like that superstar player versus like guys that were, on the bubble that had to be, playing in Germany and stuff like that.
Right. And then he also spent a year in Dusseldorf, which is pretty close to Cologne,
Yep.
actually, geographically. And obviously, you got the chance to kind of travel all over the country for your schedule and your game stuff. Was there a particular area or city that you visited that really stood out as you're like, man, this place rocks, whether it was the environment, the stadium, or your chance to kind of, explore the city itself a little bit?
Yeah, like stadium-wise, city-wise, I'd say Hamburg was really cool.
Okay.
I got to travel to Berlin, so I got to see all the history in Berlin, which is obviously a great city, but that was our biggest rival too when I was playing in Mannheim. Cologne has this Gothic cathedral. I think it's like 650 years old, and they've got scaffolding on the building because like every year they've got to fix something else, and it just consistently rotates around this cathedral, and it's a special place, and words can't do it justice. Like you actually have to go see it and be like to actually take it all in. But yeah, like traveled to Budapest and traveled to Rome, and just got to really experience Europe, and it was a pretty cool time in my life for sure.
So in the DEL, the majority of teams are actually in Germany, but there are some that are outside the country.
No,
itself.
so the DEL is just strictly Germany,
Okay.
but they have these national team breaks. So there's like November national team break, and then there's a February one, and so they do these tournaments called the Deutschland Cup, where it's Germany, it's Austria, it's Switzerland, and then it's either a Canadian team or a U.S. team. So they put comprised of like guys from that area. All the teams in DL that are American, they make their Team USA.
Right.
So if you're not playing in the Deutschland Cup, you get 10 days off and you get to go travel. And the coaches and stuff like that are like, no, you're taking this 10 days and like go do whatever you want. So, obviously we capitalize on that and just try to experience every city we possibly could.
Yeah, no doubt. And so I guess, and I think I probably know your answer here, but I would love to hear it, say it yourself and maybe elaborate on it. Like we put out this notion of Oilers fans and Edmontonians or wherever the Oilers fans are located across the country and the continent, like making a trip out of this to go and see them play in Cologne, where you get to see Leon Draisaitl in his home city, in front of his hometown fan base and things like that, where it's very popular, very common for those in Edmonton, especially during the course of the winter, plan a trip to Vegas to go watch the Oilers play, to Nashville, maybe even down to Florida for that part of the road trip for dips into Tampa and South Beach, the Tri-City area, right? Like it's not a weather thing to go to New York in the middle of December, but it's cool to go watch 3 games in 4 nights against the Rangers, Islanders, and Devils or Sabres, however the schedule plays out. So to you, a trip in early October, let's just say for simplicity's sake, to go to Germany and Europe for a week or two, do you think that should be pretty high on some Oilers fans list to take in?
Without question. I depending on exactly when that time is that they're going, like you could probably hit Oktoberfest if you really
that's
wanted
a few
to, right?
people have texted that in.
And
as well.
Oktoberfest, I've got crazy stories about Oktoberfest we don't have time for, but that's a party festival like nothing you've ever seen. Like we talk about Stampede here and everybody's like, Stampede's pretty crazy. Well, like the one stat was like there's 7 million people at Oktoberfest. They attended Oktoberfest, but there's 7.5 million liters of beer drank. Like I can't even comprehend that because I'm trying to sit there and be like, okay, well, like how many people are kids and how many are like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's a place that you want to go. It's a bucket list event for sure. Getting over to Cologne, beautiful city. It's going to be like 18,000 fans in that building, and it'll be rocking. And it's a great time. So I'd highly recommend it.
Sean Bell, the former NHLer, in it co-hosting with us, and this great question came in on our text line, and I want to save it for probably 10 o'clock or maybe 9:40, depending how the rest of our morning shakes out here. We're still hoping on maybe cinching up a guest for the 10:20 spot. We might just push in or out to then. And it kind of goes in tandem with our conversation we had with David Harrison and the 8:20 spot about NFL expansion into Europe. And Roger Goodell essentially says like, yeah, this is going to happen, right? It's essentially a no-brainer, no doubter. The NHL expansion into Europe, and we're seeing them play games over there every year. it's not they're not playing more and more games. They're keeping it pretty steady where it's 2 teams go over, duke it out a couple times, maybe in a few different cities if you're talking 4 different teams. So I want to put that out there to our listeners and to you, Belzy, so then we can come back at it in full force later in the show and have a full extensive discussion about it, because we've got Christian Veilleux, new Golden Bears quarterback, coming up here in a few minutes time. So stew on that for a moment. Think about it. In the meantime here, you'd mentioned that you were him and hawing yourself about getting down to the Royal Mayfair at some point this week to go watch a little Canadian Open golf.
Yeah, Walks invited me, and I was like, yeah, thanks for the invite, but I feel like I should do some work or something because I've been golfing a lot lately.
How's the game?
It's getting better.
Yeah.
It's not great, but it's getting better.
That's all a guy can ask
baby
for,
steps, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And it's like, and I've kind of been preaching this a little bit over the course of the week, and some people are maybe tired of me hearing it, but I really do feel like you talk about, oh, I feel like I should do some work instead of just playing golf all the time. It's like when we get events like this in our backyard and stuff, like it's a marquee event. It's a big deal. And the chance to patronize it and kind of go and show that Edmonton is a great sports city. And we had the director of the tournament on yesterday with Schlemmer, and he talks about like he's done stuff with Hockey Canada in the past and with Golf Canada. Like, and I'm sure he was, just brushing up on us a little bit since he's on an Edmonton show. But he says like Edmonton really is such a great city for hosting events because the people do come out and support it in droves. And the fact that we actually get to do it for something in the summertime rather than just a World Junior tournament over the dead of December, I think it's a pretty cool opportunity, obviously. And when you got the field like they do, I mean, world number one Nelly Cordy here, Brooke Henderson's going to get going this afternoon, and we've got a bunch of texts saying there's people going essentially just to follow Brooks grouping hole to hole and kind of follow along that way. So have you been to any golf tournaments in your travels around?
I haven't, which is kind of weird, but I feel like I didn't really get fully into golf until a couple of years ago. So I think that's part of why, but I think I might venture down there. Like it'd almost be criminal not to.
It's like I said, it's just like it's a cool thing to see, and they brought the rink hole thing that we've seen at the Men's Open.
The only problem is I don't want to douse myself with bug spray again. Like I'm pretty sure I was telling you guys off air. I'm like, I did a charity tournament at Windermere on Monday, and I felt like I took a bath in bug spray, and they were still attacking me.
Yeah.
So I don't want to do that again. At least I have the ability to get into a cart and kind of drive away.
Yeah,
or at least
move
have like,
a little quicker to get away from them this time around.
I got to walk and they're just swarming me, but I'm like sucking on deep woods off. No, thank you.
The benefit in your specific situation here, Belzy, is that you said our good friend Andrew Walker invited you. Donovan knows this firsthand from his trip to Toronto. If you're rolling with walks, you're big wheeling. You're probably in one of those like private grandstands they build that's like air conditioned and the glass, you can still see the green perfectly. But meanwhile, there's Andrew Walker sipping on like a champagne and OJ combination.
I didn't know Walks was like that.
Oh, he's huge. This guy's a big deal, Belzy.
Okay.
He's very big wheel.
Okay. Well, I might have to message him.
I can't believe you've known Walks this long and you didn't know that about him.
Well, I'm just usually skating by Walks and
blowing past him.
He's like, Belzy, wait, where are you going? Like,
picking off his stretch passes when he thinks he's Eric Carlson airing out the 6-foot saucers from goal line to
that's line. What he's trying to do, and then you just pick it off and go back the other way and score, and then he's just like, I had you, Belzy.
And I've played goalie for Walker enough. It's at a number of these skates where he's always just like, there's never any minuses when I'm on the ice. And then he gets mad at me when they score. I'm like, Walks, you just had like one of the most egregious turnovers I've ever seen. What are you talking about? There's no minuses when you're on the ice. And he blames his deep partner. He blames the goalie. And it's like, how about a little accountability? Wow. How about that?
Let's not dive into it more because I feel like I can unload a lot. This could be a very healing session for me because, Walks is great. It's the physicality part when you play against him. You're like, Walks, this is shinny.
Yeah.
Okay,
buddy.
We're not hitting each other right now. So stop cross-checking me.
He's talked to me about some of those cases. He's like, yeah, some of them get a little more intense. Guys are okay with getting a little rough in the corners. I'm like, okay, no, Walks. Is everyone okay with getting a little rough in the corners, or is that just your perspective?
That is his perspective.
You think everybody else
Walks,
is okay
I'm not
with
wearing shoulder pads. Okay. When I retired, I threw them in the garbage. I don't wear them anymore. Stop cross-checking me in the shoulders.
So good. When we come back, we will talk a little university football. Golden Bears season set to get underway, in just a couple weeks' time. They're going to take on Regina from Footfield. Sold out last year. I was talking with Connor Hood from the comms team. Looks like they're expecting a similar turnout this year. And part of the draw, brand new starting quarterback for the team. Christian Veilleux, Ottawa product, has played at Penn State, has played at Pitt, and has played at Georgia State down in NCAA Division I football. So a great get. We'll chat with Christian about his journey as a football player and landing here in Edmonton for the Golden Bears. A winner return here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas, Sean Bell, Josh Fenwick, and Donovan Paulson all alongside in studio. Watch the show. It's streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
This jersey was worn by the legend himself, signed and everything. You can't just wear it. I'm framing it with expressions and images.
Your prized jersey deserves better than the closet. Think Expressions and Images, your local custom framer since 91. You name it, we frame it.
Kickoff is coming August 21st. Elks, Blue Bombers at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. It's Country Night presented by Innova. Dust off that Canadian tuxedo and bring the hockey talk to the field. Get your tickets at goelks.com/tickets.
Yeah, it's me again. And if you're sidelined with a sports injury, you already know nothing's more frustrating than being told to just rest. At Leading Edge Physiotherapy, we get athletes moving sooner with our zero gravity treadmills. You can run, train, and rebuild strength with up to 80% less body weight, so your injury heals while your confidence comes roaring back. When your sports injury's yelling, whisper back, leadingedgephysio.com, because life shouldn't hurt.
Mr. Rooter cries like a little tiny baby child.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you've got a package from Mrs. Rooter.
Aw, the card says, "Thank you for our unbreakable bond. You're the pro press fitting to my copper pipe."
Ooh, what's in the package, Mr. Rooter?
Let's see. It's a Plumbus 2000 spud wrench. She knew I'd never buy one for myself.
Just like tears. It's flowing or it's free with Mr. Rooter.
I love that woman.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, denim man. Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
Plan for success in 2027 with help from the Co-op Grow Team. With the latest on-farm technology, our agronomists will work with you to gather and interpret soil samples, analyze data, and gain more insight into your fields. We offer local expertise and trusted advice to help you plan your inputs and prepare for the unexpected. Get ready to make data-driven decisions with Co-op Ag Zone Field. Make a successful 2027 crop plan to meet your field's potential. Talk to your Co-op Grow Team today.
The Tom Gazzola Show on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in for Tom this week. Former NHLer Sean Bell alongside co-hosting through till 11 o'clock. Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson in studio as well. Text line 1-833-401-1440. Lots to get to there as the show progresses. But now we want to head down to Footfield and chat with the U of A Golden Bears' new starting quarterback, Christian Veilleux. joining the team this season and now joins us on the line. Christian, good morning. Thanks a lot for taking the time with us today. Much appreciated, sir. How are things going?
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me on. Things have been great so far. Can't complain.
Awesome. So Christian, it's pretty unique, your story about how you've landed here in Edmonton. And for our listeners and all of our local football fans, I kind of want to take things back right to the beginning for you. And, growing up in Ottawa, coming out of high school and getting the chance to be recruited to go play at Penn State. Take us through that journey a little bit and what that process was like for you, just a young kid growing up down in our nation's capital.
For sure, man. I mean, like you said, I was born in the nation's capital, so I grew up there playing football for a local team called the Cumberland Panthers, and also did some training on the side with Gridiron Academy, and that's the organization that helped me get some attraction down in the U.S. And I was blessed to have good talent and good work ethic, and teams down there took note of that. So I was able to go to high school in Buffalo and also Maryland. And then, my recruitment just picked up sophomore and junior year of high school. Unfortunately, my senior year was COVID. So I had to come back to Ottawa. Didn't really get a senior season, but, schools were still super interested in me. So I decided to go to Penn State, where I spent 2 years playing there. Great learning experience, played with a lot of great quarterbacks who are now in the NFL. And so after 2 years, decided to go to the University of Pittsburgh, and then finished my career the last 2 years at Georgia State University down in Atlanta.
So I want to stick around that recruitment process. And I have to think it would be so cool. You said a lot of schools interested. What other clubs were in the mix, and what ultimately led to you kind of deciding to head to Penn State and suit up for the Nittany Lions?
Yeah, well, my final 4 schools that I was deciding on were Penn State, Duke, Tennessee, and Clemson. And I just felt like Penn State, being a 7.5-hour drive from home was super convenient. And I also liked their business school there. I really wanted to be a graduate from Penn State, but unfortunately it just didn't work out that way. But they had a great football culture, a great football history there. And there were also a lot of Canadians on the team. There was, at the time, Jesse Luketa was from Ottawa, Jonathan Sutherland was from Ottawa, Theo Johnson was from Windsor, and then Malik Mega was from Montreal. So I was walking into a team that already had a bunch of Canadians, so I could have some older brothers to look up to. And looking back at it, I wouldn't change my decision, because that's where I met my fiance. So
awesome.
It was always the right move to go to Penn State.
So when you're thinking about college football in the States, and you look at a school like Penn State, what is truly the allure? Because for face value, we can look at it and say, okay, well, we know it's a massive school. We know they've got great support, but behind the scenes, how great is it truly?
Yeah, I mean, I would say as someone looking from the outside in, you can always see the flashy things, the big old weight room, the crazy nice locker room, the facilities, just how players are getting taken care of with gear, with food, with study hall, all that stuff, right? But I think when you really are looking from the inside out, you understand that the school like Penn State had a great team culture. They had a great head coach in James Franklin, who right now is at Virginia Tech. But, he ran the program in a certain way that, guys were accountable not only to the head coach, but to each other. And we had great leadership. We didn't have any people that were above the team. And I think that's what made Penn State for me a great choice. I just felt like, it was really the perfect team atmosphere. And I think that's why my second year there, we went to the Rose Bowl and won. And that's why they've had, success all these years, is because there's always been a certain standard there that's been set. And that was also a big part of my decision. And that's something you guys don't get to see from the outside in.
No doubt. We're talking with Christian Vay here from the University of Alberta Golden Bears football team's new QB1 heading into the 2026 fall campaign. So then the transition, obviously decision, like I said, there's lots of circumstances that surround decisions to move on. You enter the transfer portal and you go to Pitt, where you play 7 games, starting 5 that season there for the team. Once again, just kind of take us behind the scenes a little bit of that process of going through something like the transfer portal and then landing with the Panthers in Pitt.
Yeah, well, I was looking for an opportunity to go somewhere else and kind of be the guy somewhere, right? And I thought Pittsburgh was was the great option for me at the time, and it truly was. Coach Frank Cignetti, Kurt Cignetti's brother, was the offensive coordinator there, and he had a lot of NFL experience, and I felt like his system was something that I could truly excel in. And, I was brought in and I was competing with a 6-year guy who was originally from Pittsburgh. And so he got the nod at the beginning of the season. I was the backup, had to wait my time. And so, we didn't start the year off too hot. We were 1-5. I got my first start week 7 against an undefeated Louisville team that was ranked 15th in the country. And we ended up winning that game. And so, for me, at that time, I thought everything had lined up perfectly. I was right where I was supposed to be. And it took a last-second loss against Wake Forest the next week, and then a game against Notre Dame where I had 4 turnovers 2 weeks later. And it was just like everything just went downhill from that point. Ended up getting benched week 11. And, it was tough. There were a lot of coach changes at the end of that season. And the offensive coordinator that I went to school to play under had got fired.
Right.
And so for me, I found myself in a position where, the school that I transferred into 12 months ago was no longer the same team.
Yeah.
And I felt like I needed a new change. So I truly did enjoy my time in Pittsburgh, man. It was a great city. They love Canadians out there. So I thought that was super neat. But yeah, man, it didn't end up working out how I wanted it to. So I felt like I had to give myself another opportunity and transfer again. So.
And once again, this is another thing like Belsey kind of mentioned about from the outside looking in, we only get the face value stuff. And how much of an impact does that really make when, like I said, the coaching staff and stuff that recruits you to go there is let go midseason or even end of season and things like that, where now all of a sudden you say, like, is it really just a matter of not knowing where you might stand or where you could stand with the new staff that comes in? Or is it a matter of saying, it's like, all right, well, these guys won't owe me anything. I once again need to try and pursue a fresh start where I can do what serves me best for my career and my progress as a player.
Yeah, I mean, I dealt with it twice in my first 3 years. Like the coordinator that I committed to at Penn State got fired a week before I got there, and they brought in a new coordinator, and he didn't recruit me.
Yeah.
So to me, like, he was in a position where, okay, I have this kid, this freshman, like, I got to focus on the next class and bring in the guy that I want. So already I was at a disadvantage. And then it was kind of the same thing at Pitt when my coordinator got fired. They brought in a new coordinator, brought in a new transfer. And then I was in a position where it's like, all right, well, I'm back in like that third spot where, like, I don't really fit for what the coordinator wants. Like, he never recruited me. And that's always a big part of it. Coaches want, they have like a prototypical type of player that they want in their system. And sometimes you're just not that guy. You don't fit what they want to run. And as well as a quarterback, what type of system you want to be in and what you want to do. And so, there's definitely a lot that plays into it when it comes to, who coaches want, and also, like, do you want to play in that system as well? So it's a two-way street.
When the offensive coordinator gets fired or coaches get fired and they obviously bring in their own system, like, how many different playbooks did you have to learn? Or was it when a new guy came in, all of a sudden it was just, Kate, we're going to try to stick with basically the same system that you currently have?
Yeah, I've had to learn 4 playbooks. And right now at University of Alberta, this is my 5th one. So the thing I will say is everybody runs the same things. They just call it different names.
Right.
That's the biggest thing that I've noticed. I mean, in the U.S., all formations are what they are. They're just called differently. All plays and concepts are super similar. They're just called differently. So you need to understand the verbiage and the terminology, and then also the little nuances of how does each coordinator think. What do they like to run more than other coordinators, and how do they attack certain coverages versus other ones? So that would be the biggest difference. I think for me, learning a playbook is pretty easy. I have a formula, I have a system, and I can get it down really quickly. But then it's understanding how do you get on the same page as your coordinator so that you can think the same way as him, so that when it comes to game time, you guys can be on the same page and you can get the offense rolling and the offense clicking. So.
U of A Golden Bears quarterback Christian Veilleux, our guest here on the Tom Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas, Sean Bell in with you this morning. So then you round out your college career down in the States at Georgia State for a couple seasons, 10 starts under your belt in your time with that Panthers team. And obviously doesn't necessarily go the way you want in terms of landing a spot in the draft or anything like that. But how does that then transition into you coming back to the Canadian side of things and coming to play for the Golden Bears under Coach Bone this year?
Yeah, man. I mean, the last 7-8 months, I've been training and trying to get signed to the CFL. I mean, that was my big goal.
Mm-hmm.
I went to the combine and I got a lot of good feedback from teams, but nothing came of it. And so, 2 months ago, I was literally applying to jobs, and I was contacting people like, hey, I want to start working commercial real estate. And I always felt like deep down, my football journey wasn't over, and I knew God was giving me that feeling for a reason. And so when Coach Bone at the U of A contacted me with this opportunity, like for me, it was a no-brainer. The opportunity to play one more season, just to give myself another shot at putting some tape together and giving professional teams a look at what I truly can do when I'm truly the guy at the school. I feel like, I'd be stupid not to take advantage of this opportunity. So, I mean, I'm truly blessed to be here. I'm super excited, and, I'm not taking anything for granted. I'm going to work as hard as I've ever worked to ensure that I can, accomplish my dreams of playing pro ball.
And so now here we are, 5 years down playing college ball in the States. You're ready to undertake this season at the U Sports level. What type of quarterback are you? If you were trying to sell yourself to the fans, to our listeners and things like that, you're very well experienced at this point, 25 games played to 15 starts in NCAA. So at this point, who is Christian Veilleux, the quarterback?
Yeah, I think I'm your prototypical pocket passer. I'm 6'4", 220. I can stand in the pocket. I can throw the ball. But this year, I really want to showcase my ability to get outside of the pocket, throw the ball in the run, and also just be consistent. I feel like the Canadian game is very different compared to the American game. You only have 2 downs, so you can't be as aggressive as you want to, because you got to be able to get completions on first down to get yourself into second and medium or second and short territory. So I think for me, it's going to be a big, drastic difference that I got to learn early on in the season. But my biggest goal this year is to show teams that I'm a quarterback that can be consistent and can also, lead the offense down the field by taking what the defense gives them and not get greedy. So, I'm excited to play the Canadian ball. I think it's going to be a great opportunity. I love that the field is so big. I love that my receivers get a waggle. So it's been great so far in camp. I feel really comfortable with it. So I'm excited to showcase teams what I can really do in this game.
You kind of alluded to it already, but what are you looking forward to the most by being back here in Canada?
Yeah, I think just joining this team in the last month or so, and just being around the guys, being around the team, being around the coaches, it's a refreshing experience. My last 2 years in Atlanta, we were a bottom feeder team in the NCAA, and that means every year half your roster is brand new. Every year half your coaches are brand new. So there was never really great team chemistry. There was never a great culture. It was always the locker room was always very cliquey, a lot of egos, a lot of locker room cancers. Here, I feel like everybody has a great relationship with each other in terms of players, and also coaches. They truly care about us players out here, and you can feel that. So I'm just really excited to be on a team where, the guys truly want to play for each other, and everybody on the team, really understands who everybody is. We all get along. And there's just a great atmosphere here, a great team culture. And I'm just excited to play on a team that has that, because I haven't had that in the last 2, almost 3 years now. So that's what I'm looking forward to the most is just playing with this team and really getting to the Vanier Cup this year. So
Christian Veilleux, Golden Bears QB1, our guest here on the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. So Christian, your coach, Steven Simbone, has had some pretty glowing reviews about you in the early going here about integrating yourself into this team with, what is, as you said, a kind of quick turnaround by the time you actually got the word from Stevenson and landing with the Bears. So how has that been for you in terms of getting a feel for your teammates? Are you still a little bit in trying to remember everybody's name phase? Is that almost take a backseat to getting acclimated to the playbook and recognize maybe jersey numbers more so than names when you're actually out running plays?
No, I think it's, I've been committing to to everything 100%. The playbook, the players' names, understanding who the guys are. Like, you know, like Coach Bone said, quick turnaround. Like, I don't have time to waste on that, on anything really. So, you know, I feel like the team has welcomed me in the best way possible, and shout out to the guys for that. I mean, they really made me feel comfortable. Guys are super interested. You know, they ask me a bunch of questions. They try to get to know me, and then I try to reciprocate that. Obviously, it's tough when one guy's trying to learn 100 guys. You know, like you know, my memory's great with playbooks, but when it comes to names and stuff like that, I struggle. I've always struggled, but you know, I'm trying really hard to get it all down. And you know, the great part is, like, I truly want to get to know these guys, because there's not a single guy on this team that's, you know, a locker room cancer or a big ego guy. Like, I really feel like everybody out here is here for the right reasons, and they're playing football because they love football. They love the game. And so for me, you know, that's super important for me to get on that first name basis and that close relationship with all the guys, because I feel like that's just going to go a long way for our season.
And then off the field, you know, it's crazy how much university athletics on both sides of the border have changed so drastically over the past number of years. But you are still a student athlete. So what are you taking at the U of A here this year? And you got, you know, once again, kind of get to know the person rather than player a little bit more. You know, any off the field activities or interests that you do that might keep you busy when you're not down at foot field?
Yeah, I mean, when I was in school in the U.S., I got my bachelor's in finance from Pitt, and then I got my master's in commercial real estate from Georgia State. So just being a guy that already has a master's, you know, I decided to take a couple of online classes here at the U of A that can, you know, I feel like are going to be beneficial to me in the future, but nothing too serious. You know, I still want to be able to focus on football and put most of my eggs in one basket. So to me, school is I've taken a couple online classes, like I said. So, but I'd say off the field, you know, I love to golf. I'm a big golfer. Finally broke 80 this summer. So, you know, once you break 80, you start taking it a little too serious, and the game just frustrates you even more. So I'm kind of stuck in that spot. I haven't played in like 2 months now, so kind of taking a backseat to that. But besides that, you know, I love to make food with my fiance, love to go out to eat to nice restaurants. So I'm excited to get her to come up in September and for us to explore the city together. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we love taking walks and just going to the park with our dog and letting him run around, go crazy. So, you know, I'm a simple guy, man. Golf and watching tape. That's what I do in my off time, man.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully you get the chance to enjoy some of maybe an extended summer once your fiance does make her way up here. We've had some great Septembers in the past, but the summer's been a little on the wet side here in Edmonton. So you said you haven't golfed in a couple months now. So is that safe to say you haven't got the chance to play here in Edmonton yet in any of the local courses?
Yeah, no, I haven't gotten the chance, but if you have any recommendations on courses, I would love to hear it.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, that's
a whole nother can of worms.
That's kind of nice. I think if you do get the chance, you're on a little bit of downtime as the season gets underway on September 4th and in between. There's no shortage of courses is what we're saying to you, Christian, because we're really blessed here in the capital region that tons of publicly available courses, whether it be city run ones right here inside on the fringes, just outside, like half hour in any direction. You're basically talking about literally dozens of options to consume you. And it sounds like you're a little bit of a nut for it. So I think you'll have a lot of fun exploring and checking out a few different options there. And who knows, maybe I'll slide Connor Hood a few of mine and Belzy's personal recos to give to you offline here. So really can't thank you enough. You really can't thank you enough for your time here this morning, Christian. Season getting underway September 4th, taking on Regina from Footfield. Expected to be another packed house to open things up for the U of A season. Best of luck, and we'll look forward to hopefully catching up with you and some of your teammates and coaches as the season progresses here. Thanks a lot for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you, guys. Like you said, September 4th, first home game. So come out and show out. Let's create a great atmosphere and go Bears.
Awesome. Christian Veilleux, Golden Bears at the U of A, QB1 for the football team. Second year with head coach Stevenson Bone taking over the program. And as I said, Belzy, Stevenson in some of his comments in lead up to camp kind of getting into full swing here, very glowing reviews of Christian Veilleux in the early going. Obviously, his experience speaks for itself, but it's another whole thing when you got to basically dropped in with very little turnaround time, get to know your teammates. He's talked about getting to know a playbook and stuff. So I'm very excited for this upcoming season of Golden Bears football, no doubt. And you said you've never been to a game at football.
I haven't.
No. We might have to make that a Sports 1440 hour here on September 4th.
Okay, well, I'm in.
Each of the past couple falls, Carius and I would go for the home opener and, tilt back a few cold ones.
Okay.
We're there as accredited members of the media, but
I'm in.
We're kind of just there as fans,
Yeah,
too.
don't tempt me with a good time.
I'm looking forward to that. We'll get you, me, Tommy, maybe even some of these other young bucks on the other side of the board to come on down to Foot Field with us. When we come back, we will have an open segment. I think we're going to revisit the conversation about NHL expansion into Europe. What would it look like? What would it be? A timeline look like on this ever actually happening? Is it feasible? We'll discuss with Belzy, who has plenty of experience playing over in Europe, firsthand on what it could look like across the pond. It's a Tom Gazzola show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by Bet365. Brandon Douglas sitting in, Sean Bell alongside, Donovan Paulson and Josh Fenwick in studio as well. The show, you can watch it. We're streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
I finished a 5K in 94th place, right after a man wearing jeans. Then a volunteer gave me a medal. But I don't want participation trophies, unless they're from Bet365. With their daily prize matcher game, I win by matching gold coins, cherries, and more. Take that, Denim Man. Thanks, Bet365.
Must be 18 or older. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. T's and C's apply.
Everything is going to be okay. If you're feeling the weight of too much debt, you have options. I'm Dan McDicken, a licensed insolvency trustee with Faber. Becoming debt-free is possible, and a personal bankruptcy or a consumer proposal will get you there. Schedule your free Faber Focus session at faber.ca today. You'll learn how a consumer proposal will eliminate your debt by paying a percentage of the amount owed without interest. At Faber, we've got your back.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310 Glass or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
You see it? Fusion Promo Marketing can make it. Fusion makes high-quality, memorable promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. From vision to reality, get noticed and remembered. Fusion with a Z. Promomarketing.ca.
Edmonton, if the Subaru Outback is on your wish list, now's the time to act. With only limited inventory available, these award-winning SUVs won't be here for long. The Outback has earned an IIHS top safety pick or higher for 17 consecutive years, combining legendary Subaru capability, confidence in every season, and the versatility to take you almost anywhere. Reserve yours today before they're gone. Visit your local Subaru dealership today. Welcome to Uncommon.
Caesars is Alberta's anytime, anywhere sportsbook. Stay in the action with your favorite teams and players. Whether you're camping, kayaking, or catching a show this summer, bet wherever you are, whenever you want. Plus, Caesars Sportsbook offers fast payouts and flex parlays, a new way to keep your bet alive even if a pick misses. Download the Caesars Sportsbook app today.
Must be 18 or older and physically present in Alberta to gamble. Must be 21 or older to use Caesars Sportsbook. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. Standard message and data rates may apply. Please play responsibly.
The Tom Gazzola Show with guest host Brandon Douglas on Edmonton's sports leader, Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
$9:46 in Edmonton. Welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440, brought to you by Bet365. You can text us 1-833-401-1440 to get in on our conversations. Brandon Douglas in for Tommy G. One more day. We'll wrap up the week tomorrow, and then Tom back Monday morning. Sean Bell, former NHLer, alongside co-hosting Donovan Paulson and Josh Fenwick in studio with us too. Now, Belzy, that text that I'd alluded to back at the end of the 9 o'clock segment about NHL expansion into Europe. And it came on the heels of us talking about NFL expansion. And the question I had posed to David Harrison down in Washington, he was over there watching the Commanders play in Spain last year. And I said, with Goodell basically confirming that this will happen. It's just a matter of when, not if. Is it we see a single team? The London Monarchs join the NFL, or does it make more sense to create a AFC or NFC Euro division where you have a team in London, a team in Paris, a team in Berlin, and a team in Madrid? And all of a sudden it makes does that make more logistical sense travel-wise, where teams will go over there, play 2 weeks against their opponent, and then ditto for the Euro teams. They'll come over here and play 2 weeks at a time, maybe even 3 weeks at a time. So using that template, if we want to call it, to take the conversation to an NHL direction, can you ever see this happening, or is the nature of hockey where you're not just playing one game a week too much of a hurdle to overcome to actually see this become feasible?
Yeah, I think it'd be too hard based on the NHL schedule to have a European team. Like, just thinking about some location cities that would be perfect for it. And obviously you'd want to have like a massive airport. So immediately I'm thinking Frankfurt,
right?
Frankfurt to Edmonton is essentially, it's an 8-hour flight. So in reality, it's not actually that far. If you really think about, okay, well, from here to New York, it's what, 5, right? So from that perspective, Frankfurt would be a great city, but they don't have a building, and they want to build a building, but it's like 425 million euro, which is a lot of money, obviously. Then you got to look at London. I don't know if Paris could handle one.
Yeah.
Berlin would be too far.
The places that we've seen the NHL go and have good turnouts, right? And they do it smartly. You have to give them credit on that, where they pick teams with players of that international flavor, whether it be, teams loaded with Swedes go and play in Stockholm, and teams like the Panthers and the Hurricanes that are loaded with Finns go and play in Helsinki and in Tampere and whatever, right? Now, does that, if we're talking about a permanent team there where you don't have that constant allure of the international flavor for players wise and big draws, take away from it enough that once, like, you just have to think about it essentially in a couple of dollars and cents and logistics. And to me, NHL compared to football, just the logistics hurdle is too large to overcome that. And we're talking about more expansion here still, right? Yeah. Houston, Kansas City, to take your pick down the list, Austin or wherever it might be, back to Atlanta, back to Phoenix. There's still more than enough options here that, like, what are we talking? 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Could it eventually happen? Sure. But I think that it gets so far down the line that it's really not worth entertaining in a realistic sense.
But I mean, even with that, like, so the NHL wants to get to what, 36 teams in about 6-7 years?
I guess so.
So do you want to push it past 36?
Man.
We already see what the game is. Like, and the game's faster than it's ever been. It's more skilled than it's ever been. But at the same time, like,
it's also thinner.
It's thinner. And so you got teams like Seattle that's searching for a superstar and they can't even get one. And so what does that do to their franchise? So if you don't have that marquee name to help push ticket sales and to draw more eyes, well, then you're going to be a consistent bottom feeder. And I mean, perfect example of that is the Columbus Blue Jackets. They've never been able to draw a guy like that. They've got Werenski. Okay, he's great, but he's not a McDavid. He's not a Crosby. And they're consistently considered one of the bottom teams in the NHL. So how many of those teams do you actually want? And I think that would be probably a bigger detriment to your overall product than if you went the opposite way and you started pulling teams out.
This is an interesting text from AZ. It says, for hockey, there is a Champions League where the best teams from each country compete. I would propose, instead of a side tournament, they become a division in the NHL. You'd have teams from Finland, Germany, Sweden, Swiss, etc. So I think that, like, that notion is really cool, right? The Champions League type
I've
format.
played in that.
Right. And that's awesome. But once again, we're talking about an entire continent away that it doesn't matter how good the teams are or where they're based out of. Like, it's just a matter of the Atlantic Ocean sitting in the middle and hockey teams trying to play 3 to 4 games a week.
Yeah. So, like, the way the Champions Hockey League works is that you play your weekend games. So when you're in Sweden, I think it's like Thursday, Saturday, you play your games. If you're in the DEL, Switzerland, it's Friday, Sunday. So that's what your schedule is. And then they put in a Champions League game on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. So you still have a little bit of time after that game to get back to your respective country, city, and then, gear up for your next game. Where would you fit that in if you had an NHL team? They already play basically what last year was every second day for the most part.
Yeah.
And obviously the season was condensed, but this year I think it's actually going to be condensed again, isn't it? So
Yeah,
because you're packing in
84
another
games
80,
and they are starting a little bit earlier, but then you still have your regular run of the mill where will it be as compressed as last season? No, I don't think so. But we're still talking about 84 games. So it's just 2 more, but you're only starting essentially 1 game earlier.
Yep.
And you're back to having an all-star break and all that jazz. So
where would you fit in
exactly
that Champions League game? And the concept of the Champions League is fantastic. It's a really cool tournament, but the competition level obviously is not there. I mean, I've had that experience. I was with Fardiestad in Sweden. We came over, we played against the AHL All-Star team.
Oh, okay.
Right. And that was the All-Star game that year. And then we played against the Marlies, who at that particular time were the best team.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was an Olympic break for us. We come over, we play the AHL All-Stars. We lose 7-2. Well, it's an All-Star team. Makes sense. And then we play the Marlies. We lose 4-3 in overtime.
Right.
And so that's the caliber. Like it's essentially the AHL. So if you have those teams, the only teams that could possibly compete would be the KHL teams and the high budget KHL teams.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And obviously, like I said, if they were to be integrated in the NHL, then all of a sudden you're talking about a spreading out of the talent to bolster some of those clubs. But I think your point about, how deep is the talent pool and how shallow do we want to make it is my biggest concern around expansion in really any sports league at this point. And with the one exception maybe being baseball, because they still stick at just 30 and have been for over 20 years now. I think baseball should be the next team to expand. Like even in the NBA, like some of these bench players do they belong in the NBA? Are they G League guys? And the same can absolutely be said about some fourth liners in the NHL, and especially on bottom end teams. Like these are AHLers on any other club in the league. So we either have to reframe our mindset about what an NHL or NFL or MLB player is, or stop with this rapid expansion. But I can't see that happening because of
dollars and cents,
which is obviously the biggest driving force on any level, on any sport, in any league, and probably in any country.
Well, I think the whole Lakers scenario that's happening, right, with the sale, and I think they sold for $12.5 billion. And the story I saw was that the 2 guys that ended up buying it were looking at trying to expand into Vegas, I think it was.
Okay.
And they're like, why would we do that? And I think it was up to $10 billion for an expansion team in the NBA. And they're like, well, why would we do that? We'll just go down the road and essentially get the Lakers, which is one of the most storied franchises in NBA.
It's something that everything's already in place. You don't got to grow it. You spend, listen, $2.5 billion more is a lot of money. But when we're talking about guys at that level, if you're spending $10 billion or you're spending 12, pretty reasonable adjustment to be made. And you already get a high caliber team, granted now one without LeBron James, but sure, it's still expected to be solid enough in the Western Conference. And you get the legacy of the Lakers and all of the marketing and stuff that comes with it. So that in that specific scenario, it's a no-brainer that they would rather spend 12.5 to buy the Lakers instead of buy 10 to expand a team into Las Vegas. And not only that, look at how much success Vegas has had there. It's like the Raiders came in and they're doing great. There's no doubt about it. But I still think that from the outside looking at my perception is that Vegas is like Golden Knights are kind of their team
100%
more so than the Raiders are.
And
at
it's
least
purely because they won.
Right?
Like they came in and they've been unbelievable.
The Raiders stink.
Yep. That's exactly what it is.
And whenever the Athletics land there,
they better be good.
I think they are going to have a hard time. I do. I think it is going to be much like what people thought the Golden Knights were going to be, where it's all just snowbird fans and checking out a game while they're in town. That hasn't been the case for Vegas. They certainly get plenty of that, but they have an excellent local support system from in-house and Henderson and all the surrounding communities. That's great. The baseball team, I think it is going to be almost all snowbird and passer throughs that are to go to those games, because You're already going up against the Raiders. And I mean like this in terms of a fan base perspective, the seasons don't overlap that much.
Yeah.
But have you been to Vegas in the summertime?
I have.
How hot does it get there?
Very hot.
Very hot.
Like good 40.
Too hot for me. Too hot for me.
Sweltering heat.
When we come back, we will potentially hear from Cam Tate. Actually, you know what? Audible. We're just going to do in or out at the top of the hour. We're going to do in or out when we come back. Donovan's got the questions prepared. They're ready to rock and roll. We will hear from Cam Tate and Cam and Eggs before the morning is out. And we'll wrap up the show with the final hour. When we return before that, a Sports 1440 update, which is brought to you by Fusion Promo Marketing. Expand your brand, high-quality promotional products for businesses, sports teams, and corporate events. Get noticed at fusionpromomarketing.ca. That's Fusion with a Z. Here is Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
MLB action today. The Toronto Blue Jays, they go at 11:10. So in just over an hour's time, it is the Jays against the Rays once again from Tampa Bay. Shane Bieber on the bump for the Bluebirds, and Seymour is all going for the Rays. Games, some more early morning games. You got the Reds hosting the Cardinals at 10:40. The Giants are in Cleveland just after 11. The Brewers hosting the Mariners once again just after noon. Royals and Athletics at 12:10. Braves are in Chicago to face the White Sox. The Yankees once again clash with the Orioles. Vita Vea, into NFL news, is staying on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a one-year $30 million ticket. Former Bills safety just breaking. Taylor Rapp is signing in Denver. The Oilers, also this one coming down this morning, they're headed to Cologne, Germany for the 2027-28 season for the NHL Global Series. Coming up next, we've got In or Out. I'm Donovan Paulson. That's Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
Tee up for a great day on the course and support the Stony Plain Eagles Senior Men's Hockey Club. It's the Stony Plain Eagles Golf Tournament. Gather your foursome and join the Eagles August 25th at the Links at Spruce Grove for a 2 p.m. shotgun start. Enjoy a fantastic afternoon of golf, great company, and friendly competition, all while supporting the Stony Plain Eagles. Get all the details and register today at stonyplaineagles.com.
From the locker room to your radio, Sports 1440 is Edmonton's sports leader. Real talk, big personalities, and your texts. It's interactive. It's fun. It's where Edmonton talks sports. Sports 1440.
Want to invest in Alberta's workforce, fill your talent pipeline, and get funding? Careers, the next generation connects employers with motivated, pre-vetted youth through funded internships. Easy, impactful, and risk-free.
When you work with a group like Careers who have experience in that area, they can demystify and navigate all the complex steps and stakeholders that have to be involved.
Visit careersnextgen.ca today.
Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery VIP deadline is midnight tomorrow. Get in now for the power play and $75K VIP prize. Imagine taking your seats as the Oilers hit the ice, hearing the roar of the crowd with every goal, every save, every moment all season long. Plus, score $75,000 and be in to win the $2.4 million grand prize show home in Cameron Heights. VIP deadline is midnight tomorrow. Change lives. Win big. Be mighty. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout for Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only.
The Tom Gazzola Show, the best of Edmonton sports talk and beyond. Watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we're here to stay.
Final hour of the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440. Brandon Douglas sitting in. Former NHLer Sean Bell in to co-host with us. Donovan Paulson, Josh Fenwick, and Connor the Younger, Connor the Lesser, Connor the Intern, Connor Spivak has joined us in studio as well for the 10 o'clock hour. The show brought to you by Bet365. If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T&Cs apply. Now, we were just having a good laugh there in the break about the text line and how sometimes there are individuals that get on our nerves a little bit. And I got to be honest, Belsy, maybe it's just because it's mid-August here and nobody's quite that fired up yet. I've had a pretty solid week with our texters. A lot of fun banter, and I've actually been asking for their help, and I'm going to do the same to you because I'm going to Toronto next week for some potential recommendations about what to do. And there's been lots of great ones come in. But this one from Hammer, who has a long-standing reputation on his text line of going at it with Laddie Schmid at times. And this is a guy that obviously knows you and Laddie and skates with you. You say he's a buddy of his. He wants to know if Belsy will be buying lunch today.
Well, okay. Let's discuss Hammer for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Hammer
He's
time.
about 5'3", bald. Can barely reach into his pockets because he's cheap. He's got alligator arms. And so he consistently asks me if it's time for me to buy lunch. So I've bought the last couple lunches for this guy. And it's not surprising that he's supposed to be working, but he's listening to us right now and throwing that text in.
Yeah.
So if he's listening, Hammer, get off your wallet, buy me lunch.
Buy Belsy lunch. He's earned it.
I have earned it.
He's in here working hard.
Yeah.
Working very hard.
Some of us just can't sit in the sauna all day.
Man, when I got the chance to experience that at the Silent Ice Center, the big room, one time I went for that skate down there, and the steam room, the sauna, the cold tub and stuff. Walker convinced me to do the cold tub. I did not want to.
Do you like cold tubs?
This is the first time I'd ever done it. And I can't say he's like, oh, you'll feel way better afterwards. I'm not so sure I did. I just felt cold.
That's kind of the thing that I say. I'm like, I don't understand why you willingly want to put yourself into something that cold.
I love the sauna.
Great.
It's
amazing.
We had a sauna in my fraternity house at university.
Oh boy.
Don't take the blacklight in there. Who knows? But there were some stories. I never partook in such things of maybe bringing a guest down there. But if you're hungover, before got to sweat, it's awesome to go sit in the sauna and just sweat it out. And ours one where you actually still poured the water on the rocks too.
Yep.
So you just get the steam going.
Oh,
great.
That's great. You don't get any of that with a cold.
My one experience with a cold tub certainly did not turn me to a cold tub person. I'll say that.
Yeah, and I'll just stand by what I say. Why do you want to go into something that cold?
Yeah,
it doesn't make you feel great.
You will get no disagreements from me.
You're freezing. It hurts for a while.
And you know what, Belsy? So I started my physiotherapy on my knee this week, and I'm talking to the kinesiologist about, do my exercise. She's like, all right, yeah. And afterwards, sore, pain, all that stuff, manage it. And she's like, you can choose ice or heat. Both are good. So if you take that principle and apply it to the whole body,
yeah,
why would I choose ice?
I couldn't agree more.
Awesome. Glad to know we're on the same page there. We'll see what Eddie Steele thinks tomorrow as a long.
I can't wait for the text line to heat up. All the people be like, "It's great.
Call us
hot,
all
cold showers.
Wussies.
You guys are soft." Yeah, I am soft. I don't like being cold.
I'm soft. I'm fully accepting of that point at this stage of my life. Let's do in or out. It's brought to you by the Oilers Nation Golf Tournament. There are 5 foursomes left. Just 5. Make a team and register to play on Friday, August 28th at Mill Woods. Get on this so you can ask Liam Harobin which member of DFO Edmonton, formerly Oilers Nation, was the drunkest at his wedding earlier this summer. That's the question I want to know, because he would not give us a firm answer on air earlier this week. So get registered. Friday, August 28th at Millwoods. Loads of prizes, competitions, and fun in support of Gregor's Grads. We're going to have a tent down there too. Mackenzie doing some fun activities with the golfers. Sign up at nationexperiences.ca.
Okay, you know what? Moving too fast. Bottom line, are you in or you out?
In or out of what?
No time for questions, just action. In or out?
Well, then I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jet. Actually, you're already in.
Are you in or are you out?
On Sports 1440.
I thought you would go, I'm in, Bob. We would have had a really cool moment, but you kind of ruined the whole thing.
All right, Donnie. What do we got today?
Considering the day, the hockey focus is surprising.
Any day is a good day for hockey.
It's a great day for hockey. It's a great day, given the, of course, the Oilers news as well. I'm taking this in a direction. I've said the Oilers on this show and during In or Out that I think they're going to break their 39-year division winning streak or drought, excuse me. But I also think
streak, an anti-streak,
the anti-streak drought, whatever you want to call it. I think they're going to also win the West this year.
Yeah. I'm out on this, Donovan. I'm sorry. I would like to be in. I'm in on the division. I think the Pacific is obviously very much up for grabs. I do think Vegas got worse. Like, you lost a 40-goal scorer, and you're hoping for internal improvement to replace it, essentially. That's not an easy thing to accomplish. So Vegas is still good. They're not great. I think the Oilers, the division is the Oilers for the taking in my eyes. Now, the West, what you're banking on here, in my opinion, Donovan, is the Central Division cannibalizing itself so much that, but guess what? One team is still getting points, and they're probably going to, at different stretches of the season, feast on the Pacific Division, particularly the bottom end of it, Seattle, Calgary, Vancouver. And you can say the same thing about the other good teams in the Pacific, like Edmonton and Vegas trying to do that, but we know firsthand that that's not always the case. Like, Edmonton loses games to Vancouver. They lose games to Calgary. And there's just something maybe about that divisional rivalry that gives it a little bit more stock in those lower teams' eyes, as opposed to playing Colorado, Dallas, or maybe even Minnesota. So I'm out. I can't see it happening.
I'm going to go out as well, but I'm in for the division.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers, in my opinion, now that they're healthy, will be obviously much better. I think there's going to be a sense of urgency based on the season that they had last year. And then obviously with Mike Babcock and the way that he's going to try to coach this team, I do think the Oilers are going to be much better. That's why I think they're going to win the division. Now, with that being said, the Central, well, Colorado still exists, Minnesota still exists, and Dallas still exists. And if we think for whatever reason that they're going to cannibalize themselves, sure, we can agree to that. But last season is still the same because those three teams were the top of the league.
Yeah.
They were the top of the conference, top of the league, and I don't see a world where that's going to change. Now, is Utah going to get a little bit better? Yeah, I think they will, but how many points are they going to take off of a Minnesota, Colorado, Dallas would be the question. So what did Colorado finish with last year?
Basically 1 million.
They finished with 1 million points.
Great statistics.
So now they're going to get 999,000.
Yeah.
No, they did not obviously finish with 1 million points,
Pacific,
but they had
Central Division, Colorado 121, running away with the President's Trophy, obviously. Dallas and Minnesota, respectively, 112 and 104.
Okay, so if Utah is going to get better, right, and let's just say they're going to take...
They had 92 points.
They're going to take 5 games from those teams. Sure. Well, okay, let's say it's just 1 or 2 from Colorado. Well, you're at 119 anyway.
Yeah.
117.
But do you think the Colorado Avalanche are the same team?
I don't necessarily, but to me, they're still one of the classes of the NHL.
I would agree, but I do think that their bottom 6, particularly what's happening in that bottom 6, I didn't love it last year, but I really don't love it this year. I think you can make the argument that all three, the Stars, the Avs, and the Wild, all got a fair bit worse.
Fair bit worse or marginally worse?
I would say a fair bit. I look at
who really got that much worse. Like Colorado's bottom 6 isn't great.
A couple guys price themselves out and then get what I think looks like overpaid in their new locations. Dallas is the one I'll hear out because Maverick Bourque is a player I really like and is a casualty of the Robertson situation, right? But their back end is still really, when you have like Harley and Heiskanen, Lindell still a rock solid defender, and Jake Ottinger. I know you're a big critic of Ottinger, Donovan, but like he's still a very good goaltender. If you're talking about losing depth players, that makes you marginally worse. It does not make you a lot worse.
Yeah, like if they lose Robertson, then I'm going to have
Then
the
it's a different
conversation. Like,
conversation.
yeah, they're way worse. But if you're losing just one depth player, like is Dallas that much worse?
Because Colorado lost Jack Drury.
They lost basically their entire third line. They lost Valenchushkin, which, hey, Valenchushkin's a good player.
He's a good player.
Valenchushkin's a good player. Like, I don't think you can sleep on that loss. I also think you look at the Wild. They had so many different cap casualties.
Or just out of playing devil's advocate, is he an addition by subtraction because of some of the issues he had?
Well, that's
that
what I mean.
would be
Like,
fair.
You know, what's the best ability? Availability and dependability. And Nichushkin has not really had that a lot between the injuries and then the off-ice problems where he's left his team hanging in the playoffs. And we're not talking about playoffs here. I get it. I'm just, your argument to me, Donovan, isn't a strong one because of losses in your bottom six. Those are more easily replaced. Right?
Sure, for sure. You're not wrong. But when there's a lot of them, when you're the Colorado Avalanche and you're losing 3 players and your fourth line is now all AHL players, in my opinion, like that line's going to get caved.
Were those AHL players guys that were pushing though to become regular NHLers?
But they couldn't make the Nashville Predators. Right? Like, I don't know. Is Svechkov any good? I don't think he's very good. Is LaHaru any good? I don't think he is. Like, I just the Avs, like, I think they're just gonna. I think the Avs in particular, that one line's gonna get caved so bad that it will at least lose them a couple of games.
That they'll be like the Oilers from last year and they only play 4 minutes a game.
Well, that. But if they do play, they're gonna geek. I don't know, man. I just think when you lose that many players, in particular the Wild and the Avs, like it's gonna have some level of effect on you, and also you're gonna continue to probably to some degree, like I think that Mammoth team is going to take a spot in that division, not just a wild card spot.
So do you think it's going to be the Wild to top that division? Wild, Stars, Avs, Mammoth?
I think it's probably still Colorado based on the talent up front, in particular with those big boys. But I would suggest that I think there's a real case that the Mammoth could get second. I love that roster. I absolutely love that team coming into the year.
Yeah, they're a good team. Second, though.
That'd be a big jump for them. That'd be a big jump.
To leapfrog those other two teams.
It would be quite the accomplishment.
Number 2 here, fellas. To me, Isaac Howard. He's going to play less than 60 games on the Oilers this year.
You lead this one for me, Billsy.
I'm going to go out because I think they're going to give him every single opportunity to make himself a full-time NHLer. I think there's going to be large stretches of the year that he's going to be riding shotgun to either Leon or Connor. And that's the only reason I think that I'm out on this one. He did so well last year in the minors when he was down there that he was kind of pushing his way back up. And for me, it's like the Oilers need to find out what they have with some of their young guys before they go into the trade deadline and try to make a splash of getting a top 6 guy. So what they're going to do, and this is just my opinion, is they're going to give him all the runway they can. 65 games. Okay, let me see what you got, kid. And if he doesn't pan out, then you have now the ammo and the cap space to go out and get a guy that could fill in for that top 6 spot.
Yeah, I think you're spot on about this, the approach to the in-season addition that they could make. I wonder if they will give that long of a runway to Howard to figure it out, or if they end up deciding to rotate guys in and out of the top 6. Is it Nuge back up there? Is it Colson back up there? Is it Kapanen? And Howard will get a chance. I think that is for sure, especially to start the season. But the one kicker I have here where I think I'm going to be in on it is this point that I've kind of zeroed in on a little bit when it's talking about this Oilers roster crunch. Flexibility. And the flexibility with a guy like Ike Howard is that he can go to Bakersfield without consequence.
Yeah.
He is on a two-way deal, and as a result does not need to go through the waiver wire, which every single other forward not named Matt Savoy would have to do.
Yeah.
And as a result, I am going to be in. I think it's probably pretty close. I could see him playing 60 games, but if I have to, him and Han one side or the other, I'll probably lean towards the underside.
I feel like this is like a solid 55 games. That's where I lean. Maybe that's because he gets traded. I did say the Oilers, not necessarily NHL games, period. I could see him getting traded. I could see a world where, maybe he struggles at the beginning. Maybe Mike Babcock says, "You're not ready, kid," and sends him right back down. I don't know what the case is going to be for him this year. I know he's a talented player. I think he's going to get lots of looks. I don't know. We'll see what the year holds. Like you're ultimately, if you're the Oilers, you're too good of a team to let Isaac Howard stumble his way through the full 82.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to get the full 82, but you got to see what you have with him.
Of course.
And then
doubt.
if he's pushing to be that guy, like I think I asked Tommy last week, if we're sitting here saying by Christmas time he's got 10 goals,
yeah,
are we happy?
I certainly would be. By Christmas, 10, because if we're calling that's got to be pretty close to the halfway point of the season. And an actual, because I know we always look at the All-Star game as the unofficial, but that's usually closer to like 45, 50 games played by then.
Yep.
If at Christmas time, 10 goals, like kind of tracking towards an 18 to 20 goal season. Like, I'm sorry. At a certain point, just because you play beside Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid doesn't automatically mean you should score 30 to 40 goals.
Yeah.
Especially in your first full season in the NHL. I think tracking towards a 20-goal season, which, if we recall correctly, is that not where Matt Savoy finished last year? And we were pretty happy with his season. The difference in the argument is when Savoy is not scoring, he can impact the games in a positive manner, other directions. Can Ike Howard do that when he is not scoring and has to take turns?
That will be the biggest
third
question.
or fourth line.
Yep.
That is the number one question around his viability as an NHL player.
Yep.
Number 3, getting back to this expansion debate, to expand to Europe successfully, I think you need at least 8 teams to do it properly.
Like, I just want to clarify this before we go into it. So let's just say the NFL says, we're going to Europe. We're bringing teams.
I'm saying it's really hard to do.
Yeah. So you think the NFL will not until they have 8 teams in Europe in one fell swoop?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to do it properly, I think you need 8 teams. I'm not saying, I think the NFL, you have to do it with 4. I think that's probably.
Yeah. So are we talking hockey or are we talking football right now?
I'm just saying, I think for either or, I think you need probably 8 teams because the travel is going to be impossible.
Okay. So I'm going to go out.
Yeah.
And because if it's the NFL, you only need 4.
You need a division.
You need just one division. It's the European division. So from that standpoint, if it's the NFL, it's 4 teams because you're going to play 3 of those games within the division in Europe anyway. And to go across the ocean, for the one game, like you're going to be okay. So I just think you need one division if it's the NFL. The NHL, I would probably say I'm in because of the craziness of the schedule and the fact that let's just, for argument's sake, we're going to say it's 1 out of every 3 days you're playing. If you have 8 teams in that particular area, then I think it works a little bit easier. And then when you want it to go in long stretches, then you can come across the ocean and you play in those, like,
you're almost kind of turning it into a baseball style schedule,
exactly,
right? Which we saw. We got a little sample of during the COVID seasons. And I'll be honest, I didn't hate it.
Loved it.
I didn't hate it when you play the same team a couple times in a row or whatever. I'm not sure I would love it for a whole season, but if this is the context we're playing under, where that is how these European teams would need to build their schedule, it's certainly the most viable option. I'm going to be out on this because 8 teams, 8 expansion teams. And like, is this happening 2 teams at a time over 10 years? Is it 4 teams at one? Like that part to me is just so unfeasible, Donovan. I can't be in on it. And I'm out on it for the football half too, for exactly what Belsey said. Like 4 is enough to make it viable.
The point of this for me was to show how unfeasible I think it is personally.
Oh, it's very unfeasible. So I don't disagree with you on that one.
As an entire, whether you're looking at football, whether you're looking at hockey, I just look at it and say the travel schedule for these European teams would be a nightmare. Like they would be, in my mind, such a disadvantage just based around the bouncing around that they would all have to do, right? Like they would have to, particularly in the NHL, you'd have to totally change your travel schedule. And then, like in my mind, when you look at football, like you look at the teams coming back from these Europe trips, and usually they totally flop.
Okay, so
my main thing here is that, Donovan, you say like this is the only way it could work. But you still don't think it would work.
That's why I said 8. Like to me, if you do 4, particularly in hockey, that's not going to work. I don't think that would work.
No, in hockey it won't work. But in the NFL, like the travel for some of those teams is the distance across the ocean. So I think it actually would work in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because if you're going from New York to Los Angeles, like that's still a long flight.
The difference in what these two conversations are is that one league has said it is going to happen, and another league has never even really broached the topic.
Yeah.
And that's where I think we can probably put a bow on, is that the NFL, we're going to see it at some point, and the NHL, if we see it, it's a long time away. Is that like
that's entirely fair? Yeah. Oh, for sure. Number 4. Back to the Oilers. The Athletic, they did their front office poll, and the news is coming out today. The Oilers have fallen from 21st to 27th. To me, this doesn't make any sense.
Quick question. Who do they poll?
They're polling
players?
No, they're polling no player. It's not players, it's like fan bases and fans.
What's the criteria around?
Yeah, I'm gonna dig into this a little bit here.
I have the tweet pulled up. So there is roster building, there is cap management, drafting and developing, trading, free agency, vision, and then as a total wrap up of all of them.
Oh, okay.
So they averaged out to 27.
So here I've got them right here, Belsey. So yeah, it's both a public and a fan base poll, which are separate.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the Oilers in the public, roster building C-, cap management D+, draft and develop D, trading D+, free agency C, vision C-, total D+. And it comes out to a D+ on the fan base side with a few minor differences up and down the specific categories. So yeah, as Donovan said, 2025 ranking 21st down to 27th this year. You say it doesn't make any sense?
It doesn't make any sense. How would they
It makes
fall
way too much sense.
Yeah,
from last year to this year? How would they fall that much?
Because none of their well, okay, so that's this particular offseason, but you've got to go back to last free agency, right? So if you think about some of the trades that they made, what's the biggest trade right now that everybody was like, this is the worst thing that's happened to the Oilers?
The Tristan
Jarry.
Boom.
Yes.
So that instantaneously puts you in a fail scenario.
How has the Oilers
free agency
draft products turned out recently?
The free agency is
kind of irrelevant.
Not
it's
an entire category.
It is an entire category, but like
all of these are fully relevant because
That
even
one
their
makes
free
sense.
agency, okay, what happened with their free agents this past year?
Misses.
All of them.
The to me, the feather in Stan Bowman and his staff's cap right now is the acquisitions from Chicago, an organization he is very familiar with and probably still has a lot of contacts inside there to work these deals out, right? Murphy, Dickinson, and Doc. The extensions for each of those 3 players. Those are all the crowning jewels of Stan Bowman's time as the general manager. Full stop. If there's one other thing you want to mix in there, it's Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid's extensions.
But that was multiple years ago.
And I think my understanding of this poll, it's not just like in the past year, it's a full evaluation of the office. And so it's like, could you in 1 year start to pull the ledger back in your direction? Sure. But there's still those negative connotations that linger around what you've done in the past. And
And that Jari trade, in my opinion, puts them so far down, despite the fact that they rebounded with Dickinson and Murphy and Doc. But that trade was so bad, and universally everybody is like, wow, that's a really bad trade. So it puts you into that, I think it was a D-. That's a D- category immediately.
That's a terrible trade.
It is.
However, should
then
that
you also-
one trade single-handedly sewer you for getting rid of
Okay,
Darnell
but then you
Nurse?
had to get
That's
rid of
an A+
Mangiapane.
deal. Okay, sure.
Right? You had
but
to
you
get rid
get
of
Jason
him.
Dickinson
But what did you
in the trade? So you win the trade. You win the Connor Murphy trade. They won literally every trade other than the Tristan Jarry one.
and
So-
put themselves into cap hell
But then
when
they
they
trade
traded
Darnell Nurse and get themselves out of it.
So, but is the Darnell Nurse trade, is that part of the category now? Or is that
I guess would be the
for-
question for the Athletic. But I'm looking too much at this particular offseason. But to me, this would be a better question for and I'd have to do a lot more research. I was just doing it based on, I saw what the official numbers were. But to me, like that one trade versus everything else that happened can't single-handedly sue you that much.
So here's the quotes in the article, and I'll just read them verbatim here. And these are obviously anonymous. Bowman appears to be operating reactively and without a longer-term plan. I get that there's pressure to contend while McDavid's on his 2-year extension, but several of his panic moves have made the team worse. And then a follow-up, I've never been overly worried about the talk of quote-unquote wasting McDavid's career before, but the tandem of Bowman and Babcock finally has me truly concerned.
So then the offseason is included.
Yeah. So I would say, what was your exact quote on this question, Donovan? Doesn't make any sense. It makes some sense. So I'm out. There is sense to this. Do I actually believe that the Oilers are the 27th worst front office in the league? Probably not. But when you look at the numbers and the grades, there is there's understanding and validity to the grades. So I'm out.
The drafting and developing, sure. I'll give them that one. But I'm like, and the free agency one, you know what? That does make some sense based on what's happened in the last calendar year. But it's
you're stuck on one thing, Donovan, and it's skewing your entire opinion.
But you get out of Darnell Nurse. That single-handedly.
Okay, so then you go from a D- to a C-. If you
I'd say at
factor in
least
that.
a C.
Okay.
Getting rid of that, you're at least a C.
Okay, but then what does that do? It takes you from 27
It probably
to
puts you in
25.
the middle. It probably puts you in the middle.
I don't know about
realistically.
that because all the other ones are so
Donovan,
low.
Donovan, I don't think you read this full article.
I didn't. I looked at the Oilers part of it. But there's some pretty bad front offices out there, man.
There is.
Well, Donovan, part of this was a fan base survey.
Of course.
So what? This isn't some outsider looking in and being like, I hate the Oilers. These are the people that watch the team 82 games. So there has to be, you factor that in with the general public opinion. This is back to Connor Halley's thing about overrated, underrated. No, it's perfectly rated. If you give a big enough sample size of something and enough differing opinions on it, then it probably levels out to where it's supposed to be. And that's my closing thought on the topic.
The closing argument. let's use the lawyer terms. Yeah, closing argument. Number 5 here, fellas, to loosen us up a little bit. National Radio Day today, of course, a very relevant day for all of us sitting in these chairs. Of all the entertainment mediums, radio to me just isn't appreciated enough relative to everything else.
Well, it seems like a bit of a layup.
It is.
It's
a total
like a
layup.
little finger roll right here.
It's a layup.
I'm gonna sit here in this chair on this radio station and be like, nah, radio sucks. Come on, what are we talking about? Of course, I love the radio. I have it played a huge role in my childhood growing up on the farm. It was in the truck, in the car, in the tractor, in the barn when I'm milking cows. It's on all the time. And you grow an appreciation for music and love for it. Then I moved to Edmonton and I literally was unaware that this existed in the world. Sports talk radio. And I tuned into 1260 and listened to Gregor and listened to Low Tide and, the full day of programming. It's awesome. And because radio is so versatile, there's music stations, there's talk stations, there's news stations. You kind of get the one full swoop. So yeah, obviously I'm in on this. I love the radio. People will realize that AM radio is still a viable source for news and entertainment.
I'm in too. I don't need to make an argument. You just made it for me.
It's easy. It's easy.
Absolute layup. But that was the point.
So if it isn't appreciated enough, and we can be relatively quick on this, What's an entertainment medium that's overappreciated? Sports Talk TV.
Exactly.
First take.
Exactly.
First take.
Sports Talk
First
TV.
take is that's a bit much.
But okay, well then we're kind of metal, because what about, let's just say we watch our friends from TSN do Overdrive. That's a radio show that just happens to be on TV.
Yeah.
Ours is a radio show that happens to be viewable on YouTube. Does that make it a TV show?
No, of course not.
I'm gonna put this one out there.
All right.
It's the crazy, outlandish take TV, I think, is way too overrated. So like the Stephen A's, the first take,
the shock
like
jock stuff, right?
that's the stuff to me. It's like, come on.
Yeah. Text line blowing up. 1-833-414-1440. Trey, another bad Donovan take. King of Fort Nasty, the exec, is just being downright argumentative today, right? LOL. MTR, that question is a Chris Paul to Blake Griffin Lob City. And then we'll get to these when we come back to some did come in, Belsey, about our cold tub comments as well.
Oh, of course.
We'll get to those as well. We'll have a quick little segment before we wrap up the show here. That was In or Out, brought to you by the Oilers Nation Golf Tournament. This is the Gazzola Show. Brandon Douglas, Sean Bell, Josh Fenwick, Donovan Paulson, and Connor, the intern, all in studio. The show brought to you by Bet365. You can watch us for streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Mr. Rooter cries like a little tiny baby child.
Hey, Mr. Rooter, you've got a package from Mrs. Rooter.
Aw, the card says, "Thank you for our unbreakable bond. You're the pro press fitting to my copper pipe."
Ooh, what's in the package, Mr. Rooter?
Let's see. It's a Plumbus 2000 spud wrench. She knew I'd never buy one for myself.
Just like tears. It's flowing or it's free with Mr. Rooter.
I love that woman.
Today on Hey Culligan, how smart is your water? Here's Tracy.
Hey, Culligan. I think my water might be dumb.
Good news, Tracy. Your water's not dumb. It's just not talking to you.
You can make my water talk.
No, but the new Culligan Smart Drinking Water System can talk to your phone to tell you when your water filters need changing and help you meet drinking water goals.
Now that's some brilliant H2O.
You said it, Tracy, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test from a local Culligan water expert at culligan.ca.
Kickoff is coming August 21st. Elks, Blue Bombers at Play Alberta Field at Commonwealth Stadium. It's Country Night presented by Innova. Dust off that Canadian tuxedo and bring the hockey talk to the field. Get your tickets at goelks.com/tickets.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. Car shopping sucks. That's right. Going back and forth 100 times just to get a price. Give me your credit card for a test drive. What's all these extra fees? That sounds ridiculous. At Northgate, we do things a little differently. Good deals on new, pre-owned vehicles, good people, and a great selection. And don't forget about our employee pricing. Stop in and see us today, 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
Whether you're a craft beer connoisseur or more of a wine aficionado, there's always something new to discover at Sherbrooke Liquor, a unique family-owned independent liquor store. The selection, incredible. The non-alcohol section is also very impressive. Sherbrooke Liquor, expert, knowledgeable staff with a passion for unique finds. More than just a liquor store, we're a community. Alberta's best, the one and only Sherbrooke Liquor. Wine, spirits, and oodles of beer. Visit SherbrookeLiquor.com.
Question: what do you do with your metal?
Lawn ornaments.
Statues.
I made this hat for Kitty, but it's a little heavy. Sorry, Mr. Fluffles.
At Metal Supermarkets, they encourage you to submit your creations to the Metal My Way Gallery today. You can win some great prizes. Go to metalmyway.com. A celebration of metal mastery. Proudly sponsored by Metal Supermarkets, the local convenience stores for Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
At GS Construction, we won't quit until we find a way to get the job done. And the right person makes all the difference. We're looking for our next superintendent, an experienced leader ready to take on the role. Because while GS Construction is building the water, sewage, and drainage systems Edmonton communities rely on, the superintendent is building up the team. If you know how to keep a job site safe, productive, and moving, we want to hear from you. Visit gsconstruction.ca/careers today.
The Chicken Parmy Burger. McExtreme pulled pork, garlic and black pepper chicken McNuggets, cheesy bacon McFlavor fries, and the Stroop Waffle McFlurry. You've scrolled them. You've screenshotted them. You've never been able to order them. Until now. This is the McDonald's World Menu Heist. The most wanted menu items taken from around the world, now in Canada. Get them while you can. For a limited time only at participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Tap into the fun of Play Alberta's most popular casino games. From the fast-paced spins of Cash Eruption to the retro thrills of Sevens Wild, online excitement is always at your fingertips. Spin through your choice of popular slots or discover Alberta-exclusive games you won't find anywhere else. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Thinking of growing your business? In partnership with Prairie's Can, the Alberta Chambers of Commerce is helping businesses explore new opportunities, new markets, and build connections through organized trade missions across Canada. Find the right mission for you at abchamber.ca/trade missions.
Recently, our company softball team lost the big game by 1 run. Then Dale tried to console us with the quote, "Winning isn't everything." Well, Dale and I are very different. I get early payout from Bet365. If my team goes up big, I get paid out instantly, even if they blow the lead later. Sound familiar, Dale? Thanks, Bet365.
If gambling is affecting your mental health or well-being, 211 Alberta is here to help. Call or text 211 or visit ab.211.ca. 18 plus only. T's and C's apply.
The Tom Gazzola Show. 60% talent, 40% Swedish hair cream. Edmonton's sports leader. This is Sports 1440.
Presented by Bet365. Alberta, we are here to stay.
And welcome back to the Tom Gazzola Show on Sports 1440, brought to you by Bet365. Canada just hit the biggest home run of the summer. Bet365 is available in Alberta and here to stay. Download the app. Must be 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Brandon Douglas in this morning for Tommy G. Will do so again tomorrow to round out the week. We got Sean Bell alongside co-hosting, and then our whole cast of characters over on the other side of the board. Donovan, Josh, and Connor the Younger. Now, the text line is emphatic. It's exploded. 1-833-414-1440 is how you can also get in on our conversation with us. Honest Andy. Well, you have to trust him. That's his handle. If it wasn't for Doc Murphy and Dickinson extensions, the free agency grade would be a hard F. Tough to disagree. Kent McKenzie, our buddy from down in Erskine, signing Babcock could be the sole reason for the 6th place drop. So Kent still pretty out on that. And then a few others from a number of people mentioned, not necessarily agreeing with a couple of Donovan's points today, but
I'm shocked.
Donovan is shocked.
Really
people
shocked.
Disagree with him.
Donovan, you rage baited.
That's all he ever does.
I'll tell you.
That's the real irony in this. Like I said, like he just sits there and condemns Stephen A. Smith and Colin Cowherd. He is that guy. He's Sports 1440's version of Skip Bayless.
On a certain, I'll tell you this. This one today was more about setting you guys up.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
It was
you
more,
put a line in the water right there. And you
Donovan,
just tried to let us
are you
fight.
ever worried about tripping when you backtrack this hard?
No, I swear to God, this one was mostly about setting you guys up. The Isaac Howard question was purely about, because, hey, you know what? We only had one guest on camera today. This was about getting the clips out.
Which, guess what that means, Donovan? You're a take artist. You're a shock jock. We need the clips. Which we need clips. That's part of the business here. But this is craziness by Donovan. Yeah, MTR clip baiter, tough Donovan. And you know what, Donovan? You said you swear to God. I have a hard time believing you. You want to know why?
Why?
Because your handle is Donovan and not Honest Andy. If you were honest Donovan, I'd have an easier time believing you. But
now,
we can. Sorry, you had one more thing.
I was gonna say, I can set you up. Doesn't mean I believe half of it. Oh yeah, for sure. The GM poll thing, I'm riding and dying on that, baby.
He's planted.
I'm planted after looking at more of these in depth. I'm
which ones
planting
were wrong?
Well, I mean, let's be real here. The Vancouver Canucks are ahead of them. Come on. Come on.
Donovan, when you finish work today, I want you to go home and read this entire article, and then we can revisit this tomorrow. And
the Vancouver Canucks.
You know what? You can even call me. I'll come on just to be part of this conversation again.
The Vancouver Canucks gave out the most money in free agency last year, and then proceeded to finish last in the NHL, and were the most directionless franchise in the league.
Okay. They're their last place team. There's no doubt. From my other text here, going back to our cold tub thing, I just wanted to get to these quickly. Team Dean said Sean Bell or Donovan Paulson. Who should I put stock in? Interesting question.
Team Dean, my number one hater.
Matt Hyman, Belsey is so soft. He'll bring a loofah to hockey soon. Like someone else.
That's Gazzola.
Gazzola's a loofah guy.
He's a loofah guy in the shower at hockey.
Is it a handheld loofah or is it at least on a stick?
Does it matter?
Well, I think if it's on a stick, there's not quite as much unnecessary bending and contorting. You can reach more.
Can we have this conversation quickly?
Okay.
Because I don't understand why you would bring a loofah to the dressing room and he'll say, well, I need a thorough clean. Okay, when you're at Glengarry at 10 p.m., 11, and it's scalding hot water, like what, you're gonna loofah yourself up?
Oh my God.
Come on.
Yeah,
you're trying to go in and you're trying to get out as quickly as you possibly can. With a hint of freshness.
Like you're literally just like, you need some soap to try and bite into the stench of hockey gear and the hockey smell, right? You need to take that edge off, if for no other reason, just for your drive home. And then if you want, you can drive home, shower again, do your deep clean there. Now, usually when I'm playing late night hockey, I'll get my rinse so I feel at least cleanish to sleep, wake up in the morning, start my day as I normally would with a full shower, full cleanse, et cetera, et cetera.
So you're not bringing a loofah and you're not lathering yourself up and scrubbing down for a 20-minute shower.
Yeah.
Because you can't, these showers and all these public rinks are not predictable. You don't know what they're going to do. What happens if it's freezing cold? You want to be in that loofing up? No, you don't.
And especially like some of these places, like the water pressure stuff. It's just, there's too many variables at play when we're talking about beer league hockey and the potential shower situation. If I was playing every game at the premier room at Silent Ice, maybe we'd be having a different conversation, but that's not the reality in which we live.
It's not.
It isn't. We'll step aside for our final break. A quick segment there just to spin around because we got Cam and Eggs coming up in our final segment, and we'll shoot the breeze a little bit more with Belsey as he's set to take off next week on his annual trip.
Not an annual trip. It's a long story, but I'm going to Tri-City next week for training camp.
So we'll tee that up with Belsey and send everybody off into the rest of their Thursday, hopefully on a positive note. It's the Gazzola Show, brought to you by Bet365. Watch the show. We're streaming it on YouTube, X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitch.
Setting you up like a true team player.
This. Let's get the vibes up in here. We're having some good laughs. It's been a fun show. Brandon Douglas in on the Tom Gazzola Show, brought to you by Bet365. Check out Bet365's early payout for baseball. When your team goes up by 5 runs, you get paid out immediately. No stress about blowing a big lead. Download the app, see what early payout's all about. We got Sean Bell, the former NHLer, in co-hosting, and Take Master, Skip Bayless, Donovan Paulson on the other side of the board as well. We will round out the show very quickly, but before we do so, we have to get to today's edition of Cam and Eggs. Cam Tate said he's sticking at home today and watching feverishly the live feed of the CPKC Women's Open taking place down at the Royal Mayfair. He said that was going to be the theme of Cam and Eggs. I guess we'll see. Donnie, sizzle him up. Let's go.
And speaking of Vanessa Borovilos, the spotlight is shining bright right in our own backyard today. At just 20 years old, this amateur sensation teed off this morning at the historic Royal Mayfair Golf Club for round 1 of the CPKC Women's Open, squaring off against the finest pros on the planet. Walking inside the ropes at 20 on this championship track isn't easy, but Borovilos plays with zero fear. The hometown Canadian gallery is buzzing, the pins are tucked, and Vanessa is soaking in every single stride down the fairway. Pure poise, big smiles, and world-class golf. What a show. You want to talk about Canadian sports phenoms? Grab a seat, folks, because Vanessa Borovilos is putting on an absolute clinic on the fairways. Hailing from Etobicoke, Ontario, Vanessa didn't just stumble onto the national radar, she practically kicked down the clubhouse door. At just 10 years old, she conquered Augusta National by winning the Drive, Chip, and Putt Championship. Talk about ice in your veins on golf's biggest stage. Fast forward to today, and she is lighting up the NCAA with the Texas A&M Aggies. Collegiate titles, medalist honors, first-team All-American nods. She's playing with the kind of poise and grit that makes you proud to wave the maple leaf. What makes her special isn't just that crisp, effortless ball striking. It's that infectious smile and unflappable work ethic. Whether she's rocking the red and white for Team Canada or going toe-to-toe with the world's best amateurs, Vanessa Borovilos isn't merely the future of Canadian golf. She's here right now. Augusta National Women's Amateur. Remember the name, folks. She's only getting started. Cam and Eggs, Sports, 1440.
Excellent work, Tater. And yes, round 1 of the CPKC is well underway down at the Royal Mayfair. Currently, Vanessa Borovilos is T59. She's +2 through 13. She did start on the back, worth noting as well. But through 13 holes, having herself a good outing. Some other Canadians, amateurs, lots of them in the field. High Canadian at the moment is Anna Huang, who's up in the top 10 last the most recent. T4 right now at 3 under through 12. So she's having an excellent start to her day. Brooke Henderson, defending champion, she's going to tee off at 121. Good edition of Cam and Eggs today. Now, Belzy, as we were listening to Cam Tate there, your phone starts buzzing, and who could it be ringing you up but Tom Gazzola? He knows we got Belzy's mic. He knows that not everybody else takes every second week off around here, right? Like, it's Thursday at 10 to 10 or 10 to 11. He knows you're in studio.
Yeah.
Who's he doing giving you a phone call?
Well, I'm assuming that he knows that we flamed him a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably made its way down there in very short order.
Yeah.
Probably other people listening out in the lobby of the rink. They're coming in while he's tying everyone's skates, letting them know.
100%.
100%. This one from the rig. A loofah at hockey is ridiculous, although I do use one at home. Duke, the only soap you need at hockey is the shampoo to spread it all over easy. Yeah, well, we were just joking about that, Bells. He's like, you bet that jug of like gas station detergent, essentially, where it's like 9 in 1: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, face wash, engine oil, and mouthwash if you're lucky too. And yeah, it's like you said, it's just about taking the edge off after hockey, so you can sit there afterwards, have a couple cold ones. Yeah. And not still be wallowing in your own sweat and stench, essentially.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, loofah at home, normal thing. I think a lot of people do.
Do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Live your life.
Do what you need to do.
Do your role.
John Scott used to do a handstand.
Oh, my God.
And he would show. He would show the guys.
This is how I clean the undercarriage. Yeah, that's up to the top.
Have you ever seen a 6'9" guy do a handstand?
God, no.
Yeah, no, different.
Jeez, be worried about hitting yourself in the chin. I would think.
It's very, very weird.
Oh my God. Yeah. Thankfully, I've never played with anybody athletic enough to do that. So would be worried. Belzy, you're away next week, as will I be as well. But you're heading down to Tri-City for America's training camp.
I am, yeah. So I've first time been back, I guess, in the last couple of years. I didn't get to attend the last two, but looking forward to it. It's gonna be hot. It's, place that I've spent and have a little bit of roots there.
Yeah.
So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Oh, that should be a lot of fun. So you're just going to help out at camp.
So I scout.
Okay.
Yeah. So I scout for the Tri-City Americans. I've been doing it for a couple of years now. Roles decreased over the past couple of years. Just time. How busy
availability,
I am.
Availability, right? You've got a life too.
Yeah. So it's good. I'm happy to be back, and it's it's my alma mater.
Yeah.
I want to see them
do
thrive.
well.
I want to see them flourish. And that's really what it's all about.
What's the pre-camp outlook here going into this season for the club?
I'm not quite sure. I think they should improve a little bit, but I think we'll be young. The team right now that in the division that's got me a little bit worried is Seattle Thunderbirds. We'll see how that plays out.
Well, and then anything else going on? You said you might make your way down to the Mayfair. I'm thinking about Elks tomorrow night, late kickoff against the Bombers. You were there last week. You're a dutiful attendee. You love heading to Commonwealth.
It's great. Ever since I almost had that near-death experience, I just really feel like I've bonded with the stadium.
You're one with the concrete down there.
Exactly.
On 118th Ave. Awesome. Well, Belzy, awesome show as always. Appreciate you popping by for a couple hours. Have a great weekend. Have a safe trip back and forth from Tri-City, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.
Sean Bell, the former NHLer, former Edmonton Oiler, former Mannheim Eagle, our German correspondent when it comes to hockey as well. Glad to have Belzy and co-hosting with us here on Thursdays from 9 to 11. That's going to do it for us. The show is over. Coming up top of the hour, it's going to be the Frenzy with the Con Man, Donovan and Josh, and young Connor. Noon to 2, the Lowdown with Lowtide. Declan will, of course, be in as usual in that program alongside LT. And then 2 to 6, the Jason Gregor Show will drive you home. Connor Halley continue to sit in on the Gregor Show for the remainder of the week. Appreciate everyone tuning into the program today, however you're doing so, watching, listening, all your contributions on the text line. Could not do the show without you. Makes it a lot of fun, especially during some of these slower parts of the sporting calendar. Frenzy's coming up at the top of the hour. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Eddie Steele making his triumphant return to the studio, as well as we continue to tee up Elks and Bombers tomorrow night, 7:30 from Commonwealth. Let's wrap up the show with the Sports 1440 update brought to you by AWS Welding Supplies in Nisku. Product sales, servicing, calibrating, and free same-day delivery of in-stock items to Leduc, Nisku, and South Edmonton. Your one-stop shop for all things welding, awswelding.ca. Have a great remainder of your Thursday, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow at 7. Here's Donovan Paulson.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
MLB action. The Jays, they're getting underway in about 15 minutes time against the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, it is going to be Shane Bieber for the Jays and Ian Seymour for the Rays. Other games around the majors, you got a live game going on. The Cards up 1-0 in the bottom of the first on the Cincinnati Reds. The Guardians get underway in 10 minutes against the Giants. The Mariners and Brewers, the A's and Royals, and the Braves are in Chicago to battle the White Sox. All three of those games go just after noon, our time. The Orioles, they host the Yankees. And some NFL news. You got Vita Vea staying with the Bucs on a 1-year, $30 million deal. Former Bills safety Taylor Rapp signing in Denver. The Oilers, they're headed to Cologne, Germany in 27-28 for the NHL's Global Series. And some F1 news that we haven't talked about. Max Verstappen, he's extending with Red Bull through 2030. Coming up next, it is the Frenzy with Mr. Connor Halley and myself. I'm Donovan Paulson. That is your Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.